Station. Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Black Eel Podcast. These are your hosts, Scott and Mike, and we have a decently filled schedule today. So, what we're going to be talking about first is Star Wars, as we normally do. We're going to be talking about the third Thrawn book, which is called Treason. Then we'll talk about the latest trailer of Ahsoka, or the most recent trailer, I guess the best way to put it. After that, we're going to be moving on to DC, talking about the latest two episodes of My Adventures with Superman, and then talking about the trailer for Blue Beetle that's coming out next. The movie is coming out next week, but the trailer is already out. And then we're moving on to Marvel and talking about the surprise show that's coming out, which is I Am Groot Season 2. And we'll also be talking about the highly anticipated Season 2 of Loki that is breaking the internet, as we all know. And we end, as we always do, with a character spotlight from each of us. So let's get right into it. Mike, tell us about Treason.
All right, so book 3 of the Empire side of the Thrawn series, like
now,
you
my
said.
question before you continue: does this take place between the episodes of Hela getting captured and Kanan dying?
I was actually going to ask you if you realized that when it took place. So this, yes, obviously.
I don't think I had the right, I knew I was in the right area, but I don't think I have the exact,
So very specifically, this takes place. They said it. Hela Syndulla was captured.
Correct.
They had said it. This takes place in that time period, that very small time window when Thrawn leaves Lothal, and Price destroys the TIE fighter fuel depot.
Yes.
This is exactly when that takes place.
And then and then at the end he gets word of the issue and then heads back.
Yep. Like as he's on his way, like at the very end of the book, he's like, "I've heard the situation on Lothal has become dire, so I have to head back." And that's when.
So I knew that it takes place right when Hela gets captured, type of thing, right around there. I just couldn't. I couldn't place when it ended, meaning the book ended. So it had to have been obviously towards the end of the season when it comes back, but I just couldn't, off the top of my head, remember the ending piece specifically, because I remember the capture part better because that's when Kanan dies. You know what I'm saying? In my mind, that's how I look at it. So it's a lot easier. But anyway, sorry.
So, book 3, it's called Treason. And
For a lot of reasons. Holy shoot.
They were throwing that word all around a lot this book.
Honestly, I wasn't positive until the end of the book who really was the treason one. Seriously. There were so many that they made it seem was causing treason.
They did such a good job, like you said, up until the very end. They did such a good job at pointing fingers at each person, oh, this person has a very valid reason, this person has a very valid reason, this person has a very valid reason. But
everyone did. There was not a single character that didn't. Seriously.
No. The only ones that you knew was Director Krennic and Ronan. Those were the only two that you knew were definitely not part of the that could be considered for treason.
Yeah.
Otherwise, everyone else is everyone else had their perfect excuse.
Well, obviously, technically Tarkin and the Emperor as well, but that's obvious.
Yeah,
but I know, but I'm just saying because they technically were in the book.
Yes, and Thrawn.
I don't. We knew it, but we knew it, but at the same time, it was thrown at him at one point.
That was for different reasons, so we'll
touch on that. But anyway, sorry.
So for the main part of the story, we get introduced into this book with the Death Star is getting constructed,
which is not what it's called yet.
It is Project Stardust.
Thank you.
The name Death Star was a heavily guarded secret. What was that?
I was I wanted to say Starfield, but I was that doesn't sound right.
No, that's a video game coming out soon. So the Death Star is under construction. It is called Project Stardust. Yep. It is a very guarded secret. Only select few people know about it.
Krennic, there's very like high-ranking officer-wise, like when I say high-ranking, there's only three that know its whereabouts, and only one, and one of the fourth one, like the high-ranking officer, figured it out.
Yep. Yeah, there's a very select few people that know it. It's obviously the Emperor, Tarkin, Krennic,
Vader
and Vader. And then
and Thrawn figures it out only
Thrawn.
because of his intelligence, really.
So I don't think he figured it out. He has an idea.
Well, he had a very good idea based on like he had a I would say he was like 95% right, like
Yeah.
where it was.
No,
Like
I'm not
hit it
saying like
exactly. You could see it from where he would be going.
yeah, exactly. No, he was able to put two and two together because just how, like you said, how intelligent he was. But like, I don't think he knows the exact location, but he has like the general idea of where it's
Yeah,
going. Um,
agreed.
and then obviously the other admiral, which I'm blanking on his name right now. He doesn't know where it is. He figured out the name. He figured out it was Death Star.
Oh yeah, um, I can't think of his name now. I know
Ah,
what
my
you're
God.
talking about.
I'm
Uh,
it's gonna irritate me because I love that character. Um,
what was it? It wasn't Ellie, obviously. It wasn't
Eli,
um,
not Ellie.
Eli. Eli. All right, I'm thinking of something else. I'm just throwing out names at this point.
I think it
Um,
begins with an S.
is it Soviet? No,
What?
Soviet was the bad guy, wasn't he?
Who?
Savitt, Grand Admiral Savitt, or no?
Savis. Yeah. No, yes, you're right. Grand Admiral Savit. That's his name. Savit. Thank you.
Who, for spoiler alerts, is the bad guy?
So, yes. So the direct Tarkin, we're introduced in the book. Tarkin is talking to Thrawn. He wants Thrawn to come to Coruscant because the Emperor has a possible problem and he wants him to figure it out. He ends up not going to Coruscant and gets sent to Grand Admiral Savit's Star Destroyer, which is the Flamebird.
Yeah, I
Uh,
think so.
and they end up meeting. Comes down to it that the Death Star is behind schedule. I think they said it was either about 2 or 3 weeks behind schedule, and um,
Yeah, I for some reason I felt like it was longer, but no, you might be right.
no, it wasn't that long. It was only about 2 or 3 weeks, and
It was
the
enough to be irritated.
yes, enough to cause irritation. And they turns out the reason why it was going falling behind schedule is because there are Minocs that which are basically creatures that feed off of ships. They are hijacking the ships and causing the ships with supplies to jump to hyperspace and get lost. And they call in Thrawn to try to solve the issue. He is given a task that he needs to complete the figure out how to stop them within a week, so that
Okay,
other
so here's my thing on this. To me, his task was to eliminate the problem, but
yes,
there was a bet. To me, it was more of a bet. I took it that way in my mind. It was more of a bet that if you get this done in a week, we'll give you the funds you need for your tie defenders.
it
And
literally was a bet.
yeah, the other guy was like, "I'll let you have my guy, who's gonna do great things for you and not mess up anything that you need done.
Never. He's not gonna do anything wrong. So
He's not gonna mess you up at all. I promise."
yep. So yeah, like Scott said, it's basically a bet. He had to eliminate the Minox problem within a week in order to keep his TIE Defender funding that was promised to him. Otherwise, if he did not clear it within a week, he would lose it to the funding would go to Stardust because Stardust is the higher priority project. Um, Thrawn agrees, proceeds to figure it out, go solve the problem. Turns out there's a giant conspiracy around it. The ships are not being hijacked; they are actually being stolen. They are being tampered with and made to seem like the Minox are causing the problem when they aren't. Um,
Correct.
as they are going to figure out this problem, they learn that the Grisks are actually much closer into the Empire than they originally thought.
Yep.
So along with that problem, they go to fight. They go to fight the Grisk stronghold that is located with it. Probably, I don't remember if they said it was right in the Empire or if it was just close to over the border.
I thought it was
Um,
on the line.
yeah, I think it's like right on the line.
It was close enough that it was a concern. I don't think it was in, but it might have been like touching it.
Yeah, that's what I think what it was. So they go to eliminate the base as well as solve the who was uh, sabotaging the ships in the first place, so to make Stardust fall behind.
Hmm.
Turns out that at the end of the book, Grand Admiral Savit, which throughout the book we thought was a ally, kind of loosely.
Well, we thought she was.
He,
I'm trying to think of the right word. Not like wanting to help fix the problem, not realizing they were the problem.
yeah, yeah, because he was tasked with helping Thrawn,
Yeah.
which I guess was I guess at the end of the day, if he was actually helping Thrawn, was going to help him because then it would meant Stardust was losing the funds. Um,
Yeah, it's a complicated thing because it's like I agree with you.
because
It
he was
was
for the TIE Defenders.
yes, no, he was, but I think what killed me was the fact that like the way it was perceived to me, right? Like how I took it was like he didn't like the idea of the Stardust project,
Yep.
which we agree upon. That's not an argument whatsoever. But he also profited on the stopping of the, you know what I'm saying? Like, so it's like
Yeah.
it's weird because it's like I don't think like not that he wasn't for the tie destroy the tie defenders. I'm not stating that. I think he actually was. Obviously, I'm just stating that I think he really didn't want anybody to find out what was going on
Yeah. Yeah.
because
Obviously, because then he'd get
it
in trouble.
yeah, yeah. And honestly, I think that was what shocked me a little bit because like I knew something was weird. Like, how could it be always at this place that it was happening? You know what I'm saying? Like it was way too. But I
Yeah.
would never have guessed him.
No,
You know what I'm saying?
I didn't. I
I would have thought somebody in his fleet. I would have thought like a commander or whatever. But he himself, I would have never guessed it, or at least
well
not right away.
throughout the book it was very pointed at the Moth, Haviland, Governor
Yes.
Haviland. Like it was everything was pointed in her direction. Like and it was believed. Uh, they just needed to get the proof, and makes sense because he was tasked with like helping her. So like he was able to like figure things out in order to get it make it work.
Yeah. Yeah. I definitely I liked it because so I like this book overall because the main thing was you didn't know, not that you didn't know what was happening, but I think you didn't know what the issue was yet. You know what I'm saying? Like they threw enough like spyness into it, like espionage, where we really didn't know what was going on fully until the end of the book.
Yeah.
Like we knew what was happening in the present, like okay, this is happening, but now it's like it might be this person, it might be this person now, and it's like we're gonna lean more towards this person, even though this person's still in our wavelength. Um, but yeah, I Thrawn is just really good.
he is he's very good at seeing a problem, figuring out what the problem is, and just like being able to like they explained it like he just has such a way to figure out like what all possibilities are and just bringing them together.
But it's not only that, like like his brain is almost like a supercomputer in the
Yes.
sense of like and they hint at it, but like they never specifically state it either. Like he's definitely nobody argues that he's intelligent, like everyone agrees to that. But like they hint like he knows the probability of each individual outcome and
Hmm.
goes with the one that is the most favorable but also highest probability of happening. You know what
Yep.
I'm saying? And like and to me that that takes so much brain power
Oh, it
because
absolutely does.
realistically there could be an infinity amount of stuff that happens, right? And Thrawn unfortunately has learned that the hard way, especially in Rebels. But
Yep.
overall, like before all that, it's all about probability. Like
Yep.
it literally is all about probability, and then you just gamble. I mean, he mentions it in this that
Hmm.
like he like somebody was like, That's an awful idea." He's like, "Yeah, I'm taking a gamble," but like his
Yeah.
whole shtick is a gamble. Like, not to say he's not intelligent, not to say that he's, you know, not tactical at all, but every decision he makes is technically a gamble because there is a probability that he is aware of that it might not happen, and
Hmm.
I think that's incredible that he knows it and like he admits it. Like he doesn't hide it. I
No.
think other people I think other people overestimate him in the sense of like and not that he doesn't have results. But what I'm getting at is it's like they think, "Oh, he's a super genius and he knows exactly what he needs to do at all times." He's admitted he doesn't. He
No.
just has a backup plan upon a backup plan upon a backup plan. And
Yep.
like to me, yes, you could argue like definitely that is very intelligent and very strategic, but like at the same time, he's also very like he's gambling.
No. Yeah. No. They. It was.
I think
They.
in this book
I.
they
I
mentioned
remember
a lot more, in my
they
opinion.
meant there were two big times that they mentioned it. Mentioned his like planning strategic ability.
Yeah.
One time it was Commodore Pharaoh. When she was fighting Admiral Savit.
Oh yes.
Uh, she was like Thrawn. Everyone is like, oh, Thrawn just it has luck and it's all a gamble and it's just a success. But it's like, no, Thrawn knows how to take the probability of everything and what's more likely to happen, and just go with that.
Yeah.
And even like as they're going through it, where like she's remembering what she told him in order to fight Savit, like what he's going to do. He says it. He's like, oh, he's gonna definitely do two ion blasts, and then he might do a third, and he might do a fourth, and then but those ones might not happen. So you have to play it by ear. And then,
And it
but
was all
definitely
four.
at some point, he's gonna attack you with TIE defenders. So it's like he
He was right.
knows, and she said it. She's like he takes what's most likely to happen and goes with it. And like you said, he has a backup plan in case it doesn't. And then Eli also, when he was getting attacked by the pirates, when they got captured by the pirates, Eli throughout the thing was like, "Oh, what would Thrawn have done? Thrawn would have been smart. He wouldn't have been captured." And then he's like, "No, Thrawn would have been captured. He just would have made sure to have a backup plan for when he got captured. He would have purposely got captured to spring the trap."
Well, that too. It's a lot easier to find your enemy when you are captured.
That's true.
And like, and as awful as it sounds, but that's the first thing I would think of Thrawn doing, was like making it look enough that he doesn't want to be captured, but still get captured. You know what I'm
Hmm.
saying? And he would have done an excellent job doing that.
Yeah.
Because he would have lied and wait until he got the information he needed, and then did what he wanted to do. And that's and then I mean, pretty much that's the like the whole thing. So Mike was getting at is we find out who did it. It was Savit.
Grand Admiral Sabine. Yep.
Thank you. And everything's hunky dory. One of the big things that's kind of in my opinion, um, semantics. Thrawn lost the bet.
Yep. Lost the bet.
Well, because it is semantics. The task was removing the creatures,
He had to eliminate the creatures,
and he
which he
never
did not
eliminated
do.
the creatures. So
Yep.
even though he fixed the problem in less than a week, I believe,
Yep.
um, he did not do what the task was. Eh, But what was agreed upon, which I still think was weird, was that like once the Stardust is all set, we will gladly fund your TIE defenders because you've proven that they can actually do something.
Hmm. Yep.
So like it worked in his favor a little bit, but like obviously we know that the Stardust project would have been priority, obviously,
Hmm.
because we've seen the original trilogy, um, so we know that
It's
Death Star was coming.
Yep. Obviously we know the Death Star's here, and obviously we see in Rebels that the TIE Defender program basically got completely shut down because Price destroyed it. Um,
Also, too, this was the first time. somebody from the Empire has stated that this was not going to be a good idea. There, because didn't Thrawn mention like the Stardust Project is not sound? There was the issue of sabotage.
In in book two, he was saying that he didn't like it. So in
No,
the
I thought
second
in this one he mentioned
in this book, it was
might have been the
Savit.
epilogue, but he did mention it.
Yeah, I don't think it was Thrawn. I think it was Savit. Savit was saying that somewhere down the road, someone was going to sabotage it. Someone was going to figure out how to destroy it.
For some reason,
Because
I thought it was Thrawn talking to the Emperor in the epilogue, but I might be
no,
wrong. But anyway,
no,
I know it was said. I know it was said.
yeah,
Regardless of who,
It was Thrawn confronted Savit about, oh, why did you sabotage it? And he was going. Savit was saying that, oh, they're going to. Someone's going to figure out how to destroy it. Someone's going to figure out how to sabotage it. There's so many factors that we're spending all this money on one giant project. It's going to fail.
he
And
wasn't wrong.
he wasn't. It failed twice, technically three times, actually. Um,
Yeah, but yeah, it was definitely yeah, it was definitely eye opening. I had again these books definitely make me like Thrawn more, which is getting me super excited to see him live action. Uh,
yes.
I'm not gonna lie to you, I am very excited for that. Um, but
As I said, like now you read these books. Now you read these first three books. Obviously, you don't have to do it now. When you get free time, go back and watch Rebels and see how much more connection this has now. Just like
I mean, it showed off his like his artwork, his thoughts on culture, it also his alliance to his people,
hmm
like all of it. Like he doesn't like the idea of destroying a civilization because he does like their artwork, but he understands it. Like it's an act of war. There's a reason for it and everything else. He
yep.
personally doesn't like it because he'd rather keep some of them around in the sense of to keep the culture. Because for
hmm
whatever reason, man, I don't know if it's him specifically or if it's his people, but man, culture is a big thing. Oh,
No, it's
one thing we did forget to mention actually, which I think is important, is his people's first sight, second sight, and third sight.
yep. Yeah, I was gonna work my way into that and ask you questions about that. Um,
So, so first sight realistically is just basic eyesight.
yep.
It's not. It's really not called that. Although I'm assuming they must because if for them to call anything second or third sight, sight is just first sight. Second sight though is something I did not know existed, which is their telepathic ability.
Yep.
Um,
Second sight was the being able to probe their mind to see their memories,
yes. Yeah.
and they could use that to. So in the Chiss case, the one of the girls, one of the navigators,
Which is
has second
considered
sight.
third sight.
Huh?
No, the navigator is the third sight because she
Yes,
has the
yes, yes,
force
yes,
ability.
yes. So
Well, force
well,
sensitive. Sorry.
force sensitive. So they have third sight. So Chiss navigators have third sight, which is being able to, like Scott said, is force sensitive.
Yep.
They can see slightly into the future, so they can see what's coming.
They also
So
can see like paths where people have gone and stuff like that too. Like the way they made it seem was like they can kind of, as stupid as it sounds, navigate um, through the
well,
thing.
the thing with their third sight is that they can navigate because they can see into the future. They're using that ability to see what's in front of them. So, like if you're traveling through
So they can kind
hyperspace,
of
you
see them.
can't.
So in my mind, yeah, you're right.
Yeah,
They're seeing the path before they get there.
yes. So that's why they're able to navigate, so they can move around the like incoming stars or incoming planets, whatever. So that's why they do that. So second sight was the ability to be able to look in someone's mind and be able to see, pick, uh, get their emotions, their memories, and like share their visions. Um, so in this book, there were two navigators. One of them ended up being captured by the Risks, and used as their own navigator as a prisoner. Um, and the navigator had second sight, so she could
Program
probe her mind and get the
where they were.
paths that she traveled.
Yep.
So they were able to use that girl that was in captivity, use her memories that were actually locked down. She couldn't really remember them because she was so afraid and shooken up from what happened, from my
Mhm.
understanding.
Yeah, that's
She
that.
couldn't navigate it until her mind was probed.
Yeah, it was kind of like unclear on whether it was just fear or if it was just what was going on, or there was a bunch of different factors that could have been in place. It could have been all of them, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
Um, Also, I want to see his race, like his people. They are incredibly diverse in the
Yep.
sense of abilities, thought processes. I mean, don't get me wrong. I understand the appeal of Mandalorians, but like we need to know more about these people. We have like three different shows for the Mandalorians. Let us move on to the Chase.
Chiss.
Chis. Chis. Shh.
Um, two things that I would love to see come to live action. I want to see the Chiss come to live action, and I want to see the
Which we
Grisks.
so we technically will,
Okay,
but like
more than Thrawn.
fair. What are they supposed to look like the other ones?
I don't really know, to be
Like
honest.
I,
They
you know what
never
I have.
really.
So I'm gonna tell you what I have in my head, and I don't know why I have this thought process, but it's like robot like armor, right? But then like reptilian heads for some reason. I don't know why.
I have this. I have the same thought. Like not the robot body. I can't really think of. I never really thought about
Like
the robot body.
it's supposed to be armor, but it looks more robotic than it is armor. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, okay, yeah, I get that. Yep. But like, I agree with you. For some reason, in my head, I get
It's
reptilian
reptilian.
head. Yep.
Yeah, like I
And
get
like,
reptilian head, and I don't know
and
why.
like,
It's
I know
so
in the second book, they said that they had no teeth. They removed their teeth, I think.
yeah, which and then it throws me off because it's like in my mind I'm like I don't think I'm right because the idea I have of them is like, but I'm
Yep.
wondering if they remove them because of the like you know what I mean like the like because I have like I have my own thought of it, but you know exactly what I'm talking about. Like I feel like
Yep.
they're like this like almost like lizard neck, like slightly obviously longer than like a humanoid would have.
Yep.
Um, and that's my like thought process on like what they look like, and they really don't say much about what they look like.
No, they don't.
Teeth thing,
The huh?
well, other than the teeth thing, I don't think they've ever
Yeah.
really mentioned what they look like.
Yeah. No, I agree. I was about to say that. Like, other than the teeth, I don't remember them ever really mentioning their appearance.
And do they even
Um.
mention Thrawn's people's appearance in the books? Because I think we know because we've seen them, but I don't know. I don't remember now if they've even mentioned it.
Well, they're humanoid, just blue and red eyes.
No, I know that, but you know how like, do you remember if they described them
Oh
in the
no, they
book?
never really just no, they didn't
You
describe them.
understand what I'm getting at? Like,
Yeah.
it's one of those things where if you've never seen Rebels, like, I wonder what people think Thrawn looks like. I mean, granted, he's on the cover, but I mean, he's on the
I
cover
mean,
pretty
yeah.
tall. But like,
Yeah, no,
seriously, you
that's
know what I'm
true.
saying?
I mean, it's just because of Rebels, I just picture them all looking
All
like
the same. No,
Thrawn.
no, I
So,
agree with you. No.
but no,
I
you're
know.
totally right with that.
But like, my whole thing is too is like, I'm trying to think of the other race, and I'm like, I just come up with I come up with literal like reptile people.
Yep, lizard. Yep, I 100% agree with you.
And there's no
Um,
rhyme or reason to it. There is no
no,
like there's not a single thing.
no. There's no way to. They never gave any description to lead us to believe that they're lizard people. Just
No, it's
that.
just how I in my head I've decided they look like.
Yep.
Um,
um, but what overall, what did you think of like the Grisks as an enemy?
they are worse than the Empire.
Yeah.
Like they are like as weird as it sounds, and I hate like comparing history to it, but like in my mind, the Empire was like supposed to be in my mind like the First Reich, the
Yep.
Nazis. You know what I'm saying?
Yep. They
But
100% are.
but but those people were like those creatures were like above them. Like
Yeah.
they were a step above. Like they were willing to like everyone's dying.
Yep.
And the only reason why they kept those two people alive was because they thought that the girl was faking her death.
Well, they didn't. So those one big. So the the they don't. The Grisk don't normally like do the dirty work. So they use their conquered species to do their dirty work. And the conquered species didn't know that the girl was alive. So they didn't kill themselves yet. So the Grisk go in the operation of, as they said in the book, death before capture. So
Correct.
they would destroy everything before they get captured, so no one can learn anything about them. So they only were staying alive because they wanted to make sure that the Chiss girl was dead. And until they figured that out, and as soon as if the girl was alive, then they would make sure to destroy everything so that way their secrets wouldn't get out. Um, which is just insane. Like,
No, it is. It is. It is. And then it's like we have seen like the Empire do it, but never to that degree.
no, no. And it goes back to the first book of, when he was talking to Night Swan about um if it's lesser of two evils, I'd rather have the Empire over the Grisks,
Yeah.
you know. And now we see why he prefers the Empire over the Grisks.
No, 100%. And I don't think we saw that necessarily like to the up until this book. I'm not saying that they were good. They were not good. But I don't think we got to see how brutal they were in their own ranks of like, you know what I mean? Like in the sense of like just like we're gonna kill ourselves. Like it's done. Like we're getting captured, we're done.
Yep. Yeah. Um,
Overall, I did like this series. Um, I would love to see this live action. Like if we did like a Thrawn prequel.
mhm.
I don't think they'll do it because I know Disney's all fed up with Star Wars and Marvel,
Yeah, well,
which is
nah.
so funny to me because that's their moneymaker.
He's all talk. He's not gonna get rid of it. There's no way.
No, and I agree with you. It would be stupid of them too. I mean, for goodness sakes, the whole idea was they were like, "Oh, Secret Invasion ruined the MCU," and everyone was like, "Oh yeah, we agree, we agree, we agree." And then they posted a trailer for Loki, and everyone's like, "The MCU is so great."
Yep.
Literally, it went from, and it kills me because it's going to be the same. Like Star Wars did such a great job with Andor.
Yep.
I mean, don't get me wrong.
And
The only bad show that they've had, and it wasn't horrendous, was Book of Boba Fett.
yeah, that was yeah, definitely. So far, the only like bad Star Wars show was Boba Fett, which just for me, I just thought it was unnecessary. I wasn't really interested in it.
I think
Mandal,
I was gonna say I think for me like it wasn't horrible. It was a decent story, but I felt like they did weird stuff that didn't need to happen, and I
yeah.
felt like they could have really expanded on the present and stopped focusing so much on the past.
hmm I think it's just one of those things where it's because it's a past character that people love. You create this story that people didn't have in their head canon.
Yeah.
That that was the downfall. It was kind of like the Solo movie. You gave an
Yeah.
origin story to Han Solo when people didn't want it. And
No,
now
agreed. Agreed.
now like the thing with Han Solo is like the Solo movie was a good movie, but because it was Han Solo, it received negative. If it was any other character, it would have been a great movie. But
No, agreed. If they would have introduced somebody new, there would have been no issue whatsoever.
yeah,
I
and then
agree.
obviously the most recent thing is Mandalorian season 3 wasn't well received. Which I mean, as I've been saying, it I liked it. It was nowhere near as good as the first two seasons, but it was still a good season. It had its issues, but
All right, I will agree to that. You know what? I was going to argue, but you know what? When you put it that way, you're right. But I also think it was still good.
it was good.
I
It just
comparatively, so agreed. Comparatively to the other two seasons, yes, agreed. Um,
it was it was one of those things where because everyone had such high expectations off of the first two seasons, This
Yeah.
didn't hit those expectations, so everyone really didn't enjoy it, which is unfortunate.
No, I agree.
This,
I personally like the end. I did like the fights at the end.
yeah,
I know a lot of people had problems with the people who died, but I thought it was cool.
to me, this season kind of was like the season three was kind of like a safe season because like it didn't really do anything crazy.
No,
It was
it didn't push any buttons.
no, it was very much we knew what they wanted to do and they did it and that was it.
And
It
I
was
think,
they went to go to retake Mandalore
and
and
I'm
that was the
wondering,
entire premise of it.
because we're gonna segue right into this. Don't you think like it was more of like a push for Ahsoka than it was for anything else?
I would say so.
Only because their main talk was about Thrawn. Like, where's Thrawn? Who is Thrawn? Like, Thrawn's gone. He's not coming
That's
back.
true.
You know what I'm saying? Like, that was to me, and I don't think I took it that way when watching it the first time. But I think now with all like the hype with Ahsoka and everything, it really makes it seem like it was more of like a let's push this towards Ahsoka now.
Yeah, no, it is because now, I mean, as I know I mentioned this to I don't remember if I mentioned it to you, but I mentioned it to a few people is that now that Gideon is gone, they're going to be focusing on Thrawn as being the main villain of Star Wars.
Yes,
So, like you said, they're
which makes
pushing. Oh,
sense.
where's Thrawn? Who's this? Captain Pelion was one of the characters that was in the hologram room in season three when they were talking about, oh, where's Thrawn? Who they've been talking about his grand return and he hasn't come back. Um,
Really?
that one of the guys was Captain Pellington,
Was he one of the
and
rich ones or not rich ones?
what do you mean one of the rich ones?
The ones that have been benefiting from the like our. So remember how there were two guys who were like still making money, and the rest were like struggling.
Oh yeah. Okay, I think he was one of the well-off ones,
That's
but
okay. So I think I. All right.
but so in the lore, like in the original, like the part in the trilogy, the Thrawn trilogy that's no longer canon, the Legends Thrawn, Captain Pellington is a very loyal soldier to Thrawn. So
Okay.
now the rumor is that we're going to be seeing him get introduced more and be working with Thrawn because Captain Pellington is, and he was actually in the third Thrawn book, um, if you remember. So the theory is that we're going to be seeing him as well in this series as in the show as with Thrawn, which would be cool.
Well, let's get right into Ahsoka. Um,
Yep.
no, it literally was a perfect segue. Uh,
It was. I can't take that away.
no, it was way too good. We could never plan that, but the thing is true. It's sad but true. So overall, I'm very excited about this series.
I can't wait.
So here's the one thing that I don't understand. Okay, everything else makes sense to me. We have an inquisitor. We have an inquisitor with a apprentice. We have
Well, he's not really an inquisitor.
well, he's got like the inquisitor lightsaber.
No, he doesn't. He has a regular lightsaber.
Who's the guy
There,
with the? Is it just
the one with the mask is an inquisitor. He's an inquisitor.
I
He,
thought
his
I thought same person. Sorry.
oh no, they're different people. The
Okay,
one with the
never mind.
mask, the one with the mask is his. They confirmed his name. His name is Merrick.
Okay.
Um,
Um, so
yeah.
anyway, so it doesn't really change my thought in this one. So we have a master and an apprentice, and I'm using the word master very loosely. Um, and we have this is the part that confuses me. Ahsoka against them makes sense. I'm not arguing that. Sabine being trained potentially, or put it this way, she's being trained with a lightsaber, and it confuses me.
So I'm not so far fetched with that, just because we know that she has lightsaber training because of the dark saber.
But you understand what I'm getting at because she's then going toe to toe with a Force user.
Yes. So the thing is that people are starting to wonder because she's going toe to toe with a force user. Excuse me. is she also force sensitive? Which I think would be kind of, it would be,
Weird.
I think it's weird. It would be interesting depending on how they do it, but it would be weird because we've
How
known her
they
from Rebels. Yeah. And they never mentioned it before. Um, or, why Kanan wouldn't have been able to detect that. And, but,
Oh, you know what? I just thought of something.
mhm.
Mandalorians like close themselves off.
Yep. So you're saying that she would have been able to close it off and
No,
block
what
it?
I'm getting at is like they close themselves off from everything. Emotion, like that's what they're supposed to do.
Hmm.
You know what I'm saying? When she opens herself up, who's to say that, you know what I'm saying? She goes against her people's way, that now she opens herself up where she was always force sensitive, but she didn't know it because she closed herself off. Because people have been able to close themselves off and then come back in.
It's true. Yes. Yeah.
Now,
Eh,
granted, she probably didn't know she closed herself off. But no, I'm just saying, like it would actually make more sense than I realized. Now that you say that, because Mandalorians are basically like closed in, like they wouldn't open themselves up to that.
yeah. No, that could be a possibility. It could work.
I mean, I'm not by no means is she like she's powerful, but not force powerful. I'm not thinking
Oh
she's
yeah.
gonna be like the next, she's not gonna be the next Anakin, but um, and she could,
Speaking of Anakin, did you see the last trailer?
yeah. What is up with that? Is does she have like a hologram of him? I know it was supposed to be his Force Ghost, but I mean,
I don't know.
like the thing that kills me is we hear his voice. We're not
Yep.
arguing that. That's agreed upon. But when we see his Force Ghost in the trailer, I don't know if it's from the end of the movie or if
No,
it's
well,
a new one.
yeah, we'll have to see. I know they said Anakin Hayden Christensen is going to make an appearance as Anakin in the show.
Yeah, but we assumed flashbacks. We assumed.
Yes, we assumed flashbacks. If we could see him as a Force Ghost, I think that would be awesome.
It would definitely tie into the original trilogy because
Yes.
now that
Um, I know a lot of people were very upset that we never saw him in the sequel trilogy. Um, so I think it would be pretty cool to see him as a Force Ghost giving advice to Ahsoka. Um,
and
in
it would make
it,
sense.
it would
It
make
would
a
make
lot of
sense.
sense.
But
Uh,
I honestly can say I wouldn't have expected like it before seeing the trailer. I would never have guessed it. Like
yeah,
I would have never thought that's how they were going to use him. I would have thought it was like a flashback where they're going to like de-age him.
yeah,
Uh,
like an Obi-Wan.
yes. Um, although they technically used him as Vader for a bit too.
Yeah, a little bit, but I mean, just that one scene, which was still awesome.
No, no, it was. Um, but yeah, so the Sabine thing threw me off in the trailer, but other than that, there was nothing I thought was like worrisome. I think the only thing I have a worry about, and this is gonna sound weird, but like based on the trailer, there is so much going on, and aren't there only 6 episodes? Or do we not know? We might not know. I don't know if we know. Do we know?
No, we talked about it the last time we talked about Ahsoka. I think I think it was 8.
I'm gonna tell you in a minute.
Yep, I think it was 8. I know we know the runtime. The total show runtime is about 3 hours and 50 minutes, I think.
It is 8 episodes,
Okay.
but
I know
still,
the first 2 minutes is I think the first two episodes I think the first episode is 50 minutes and the second episode is 45 minutes. The third episode is 35 minutes.
you understand what I'm getting at. There was so much shown in the trailer that the one thing I'm worried about is very similar to what happened with Secret Invasion, where they try to rush the ending, and I hope that does not happen.
No, I know. I don't think they're going to because I think with Star Wars they have a good flow. In actuality, like with all of the Star Wars shows, they have not. It has none of them has none of those shows have felt rushed.
No, I felt like the only one that was a problem was Boba Fett, and I felt like it was taking too long. So I
Yeah,
mean, So I agree with you on that one. There was nothing ever rushed.
Boba Fett was a mixed thing because the first three episodes was like, oh my god, this show is dragging, and in the last three
Last
episodes
three episodes, like,
it
why
was
is
like,
it
oh
like
my god, why is it so?
there's so much happening? This one's there, that one's there.
um,
I will agree to that one. But overall, all right, I'll agree with you on that one. But you understand where my concern comes from,
I agree.
because you are right though. They have not really timing what like flow wise, like getting like they never rush. I can
Hmm.
agree to that. I can agree to that. But it is a concern of mine just because of the amount of information that we're shown in the trailer. And granted, all this stuff can happen rather quickly. Some of it could be flashbacks, and we don't know. You know what I'm saying? Like, there's a lot of stuff we don't know, and I think that's part of the thing. But overall, super looking forward to it. Chopper looks amazing and sounds amazing.
Yep.
Um, I got to get used to the actors because their voices are different than what I'm used to.
Yep. Yeah,
Like,
a little bit. Yep.
but other than that, I think the Ahsoka one won't bother me because she's been Ahsoka for a while.
Yep.
But the others, um, and we heard Ezra speak, correct? That was Ezra at one point.
Ezra did speak at one point. They were playing the
Never showed him.
hologram.
Yeah, but
That,
we never showed him, but he was speaking.
yeah. Well, we saw his back.
Yeah, but like, but we didn't. Yes,
He was the
we didn't see
hologram. He was the
this.
hologram. Yeah, we never saw his direct face. We saw his back, and it was on the hologram, and it was the
Yes,
hologram that he left when he disappeared in Rebels.
yes,
Um,
and he's the only one that has not been shown. Like we've seen Thrawn in the trailer now, him talking and walking in, um, and everything. I, I, I'm very. There's got to be some sort of huge plot twist of him being coming in.
yeah. I'm hearing a new rumor coming around online, which I kind of interested in this. What of the possibility that Ezra, being trapped with Thrawn for so long, ends up falling to the dark side and siding with Thrawn instead of continuously fighting with him?
That would. And Thrawn is good at convincing people.
Exactly. Now that you've read these books, that's so much more believable now.
Yeah. I don't know. It's gonna be tough. They, I think that there's got to be a reason why they haven't shown Ezra,
Hmm.
and that would make sense why they haven't shown him.
It would. And
Uh,
100% would because, I mean,
because that's a huge giveaway.
yeah,
What if the Inquisitor is him?
that's one of the theories. He's one of the theories. He's the Inquisitor. He's the last Inquisitor.
I'm glad you brought that up. First off, I'm not gonna lie to you. It does sound awesome. I'm not arguing that whatsoever. I'm just stating like now that's gonna be in my head. Uh, Overall, though, I mean, I'm definitely looking forward to this. I'm very curious at what they're going to because they're going to have to. I mean, we don't know what the story is to begin with, but obviously one of the actors is dead. Um,
Yep.
so he, weird thing is it's like they can't mention anything until the show comes out. Like you
Yeah.
know what I mean? Because they did the same thing with like Moon Knight. Oh, a Moon Knight actor died, even though that character really didn't have that much screen time. They couldn't state that. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? So we don't know how much screen time this guy has. If in the sense of like, is this his only season? Is he? You know
Hmm.
what I mean? Like, was there plan to have him come back at some point, type of thing? But obviously now they can't. But I mean, in general, we don't know what their plans were for this character or his character.
Absolutely. We don't know what's going on. Obviously, um, we have to see what happens. I'm assuming he's going to be a major character because of how much screen time, how much attention he's getting in the trailer. So we have to see if his story ends after the season. If not, obviously they have to figure out what's going to happen, whether it's going to be recast him or just abandon the character altogether and do some like off-screen finagling. Um, I mean, they made
And
it
again,
work.
the other thing too is we don't know. They could have already killed him off in the show, and we just
They
don't
could
know
have.
that. Because
Yep.
that's what happened in Moon Knight. You know what I mean? Like we didn't know the guy was going to be killed off in the show, but he had died in real life,
Yep.
and yeah, it was definitely. I was surprised mostly because of his age, because he was only what, late 50s.
Yeah, he was pretty young.
I mean, obviously not young, young, but definitely young to like. No, no, no. But I agree with you. You know what I'm saying? Like it's one of
He
those.
wasn't. He wasn't to the age of the guy who plays Red Hulk. Um,
Correct. Correct.
so
Like
you
that
know,
one. That one wasn't shocking. No offense to him. I mean, yes, it did hurt our feelings, but like it wasn't. It wasn't so far fetched.
yeah, it wasn't. 50s isn't really too old. It is old, but it's not. You know, when you hear someone die at that age, it's like, oh wow, that's more shocking than unfortunately someone dying in their 70s or 80s.
No, agreed.
Um,
But no, you're absolutely right. But
but we'll have to see what happens. Obviously, we can't predict it,
yeah,
and we
and in fact,
honestly,
we're gonna in our next podcast we'll be talking about the first two episodes.
yep. And it's next Wednesday, so that is going to be exciting.
It's next Wednesday.
The 23rd, not this Wednesday, next Wednesday.
Oh, sorry. When you say next Wednesday, I'm thinking of this. Like, never mind. I got you. No, no,
I always, that's always something, not the, yep, it's something that everyone always has to talk about. We have to clarify this Wednesday, not this coming Wednesday, the following Wednesday.
I got you. No, no, no. I got you. Um, yeah. Overall, definitely looking forward to the show. It's one of the ones that I've been highly anticipating for. Um, honestly, I don't know which one I wanted more, Obi-Wan or this one, and I feel like I want this one more, only because we don't know what happens in this series. In
Yeah,
Obi-Wan, we had a good idea of what was going to happen.
yeah. This is
This was like
basically
it was an in-betweeny.
yeah. Obi-Wan was just like, oh, what happened between episode 3 and 4? Obviously, we know Obi-Wan lived. Obviously, we know that something big happened.
Yep,
But like with this is entirely new territory because we don't know what's to come after.
and anything can happen, and that's the big
Yep.
thing.
These are
Anything.
basically new characters that are going to they're exploring for the first time. We've
And
seen them
also,
in Rebels, but now this is them finally post Empire.
well, I was going to say too. This is also the characters, but their endpoints had already happened. You know what I
Yeah,
mean? Like now this is extended, so like we don't. This is unknown territory. They could kill them all off, and it. You know what I mean? Like not the, first off. I hope they don't. But my point I'm making is like anything can happen.
no, you're right. The
'Cause
other question,
it won't affect any of the future projects. You know what I'm
no.
saying? Like it's these characters aren't in like sequel series. Like we're not
Yeah,
going to see like Luke Skywalker. You know what I mean?
well, we can.
Well, we can, but like we know he's not going to die yet. You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
Like that kind of stuff.
The other question is the only character that we haven't seen from Rebels yet in any of the trailers is Zeb. So I'm curious if he's going to make an appearance in the show.
I'm wondering if he's not going to because he's in the Republic.
I'm wondering that. I would be kind of disappointed because I think it would be cool to have the whole band back together, but it would be understandable if he's not.
I
I
also
would at
think
least like him to make some kind of appearance just to see him.
he could. All right, so he could be on screen, but I think CGI wise, he's going to be really tough. So I think that's probably one reason why he might not be in it. He might. So he might do like a cameo.
Yeah,
I just think CGI wise, him being there would be too much.
I mean,
Long
I
term.
agree with you. But I mean, he looked great in Mando season 3.
I'm not arguing that, but he also wasn't in there long.
No, 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 you're right. Um, but I mean, compared to some of the CGI that could be showing up that we've been seeing recently
I agree.
from the Marvel side, like he looked phenomenal.
No, I will agree to that. He definitely looked realistic, but I can't imagine that being cheap though. You know what I'm
No, yeah,
saying? And I
100%.
and I imagine that they're putting out all the stops for this one anyway. But I
Hmm.
don't think they want to risk him being in it because the CGI is great and all, but with him fighting and stuff like that and jumping around, it might not look as good. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying?
No, you're right. You
Um,
are right with that.
but that's just a me thing. I do agree with you that they're probably going to do some sort of cameo with him, or he might come in at the end or whatever because he heard his friends were in trouble type of thing. But I don't think he's going to be anywhere close to like a big character at all.
Yeah, I mean, obviously that doesn't seem like that because he hasn't made any appearance in the trailer. So,
Well,
um,
Ezra hasn't either.
and I don't think he's going to be a main character.
We don't know. He might be.
He
In
might
fact,
be.
he very
We
well
might have
could
been
be in the
seeing him
trailer.
this whole time.
He could have been in there the whole time with the red lightsaber. Um, but yeah, no, definitely looking forward to that. All right, let's move on to DC.
But before we move on, I know I always do this. I apologize.
Every single time. Yes.
I wanna go back. I want to go back to the Thrawn book for just a second. Um,
All of them are just the last one.
well, okay, technically all of them. I want to hear your rating of what you thought of the three books, and like what your favorite was, and what your least favorite was, and
Shoot. I want to say I actually like the third one the best.
I think so too.
And we discussed the first two already. I do like the second one story wise, but I did like the information we got in the first one. But I think the first one just wasn't written in a way that it worked for me personally. Like
Hmm.
it was like in my opinion it was more like reading a biography, like
Yep.
the first one, where the other two were I was reading a story. You know what I
Hmm.
mean? And I didn't hate the first one. Like I did love the information I got, like learning all this new stuff about Thrawn and stuff like that, and how he built himself up. But I think it's the least favorite out of them because of the way the information was presented.
Really? Okay.
Now,
Um,
this not so like I said, like I did like it. It's but it's like third one for sure. The second and the first one are kind of like they're touching
hmm I mean, for me it's 3-3-1-2. Um,
for the same reasons that I mentioned for the most part.
yeah, I mean, I liked three. I liked two and one. I liked one because I loved all the information we got. Two, it was for me. It was less about the two. I felt like was less about Thrawn and more about his history with Anakin and what
Yes,
how he was introduced to Anakin already,
but
which wasn't bad.
no, and I agree
Just
with you. I'm just like I said, for me, it was more of the story piece for me.
yeah, it was tough for you to get to the biography. I know book one with the time jumps bothered you a little bit, which is
Yeah, it was.
understandable.
But again, it wasn't like first off, I did like all the information in it. You know what I'm saying? Like the information was great, but to me, it was like each one of those stories could have been its own book almost. You know what I
Yeah,
mean? Like
no, you're totally right.
each jump could have been its own book. Like maybe not a big book, but definitely a book.
And I liked how each book had a different storytelling style. The first one,
Agreed.
like you said, was kind of like a biography going through the history of Thrawn. The
The
second one was the
second one,
history of his history with Vader, and
but
this one,
but that also showed different perspectives. It wasn't just his.
yes,
And the
yes,
third one was almost all of Thrawn for the most part, obviously with the exceptions of like um, Ronan. Is that what I
Ronan,
said?
yes,
Thank
yep,
you.
yep,
But for the most part, it was Thrawn.
yeah.
It was
Thrawn,
more.
we had a little bit with Eli, we had a little bit with Commodore Pharaoh, and a
For the
little bit
most
with
part, it was more Thrawn.
yeah, it was
It was
mostly Thrawn.
it was definitely mostly Thrawn. I agree with you. Yes, there were others, but I mean like it was the big thing of Thrawn,
Yeah.
which I did like more of, which is why it was my favorite. But yeah, no, that's where I go with that.
Um,
Anything else before we move on?
yes. Um,
I should ask
I
that.
know.
No.
No, this is just something to go over moving to going forward in the podcast. We're going to move on from the books in general. Um, seeing that next week the next podcast we're going to be starting to talk about Ahsoka. Do you want to continue reading the other Thrawn books, or do you want to hold off for Ahsoka?
I think we should wait until after Ahsoka.
So after Ahsoka? Okay.
Just because these books take up a lot of time. And again,
Yes.
it's and not for good, like not that it's not for a good reason, but I think going to be the main topic will be Ahsoka because um, I think it's I mean, granted, it's only going to be for like what 4 episodes, 4 podcast episodes. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Ish, and then we go back to reading the books because there won't be anything for Star Wars for a while.
Yeah. No, that's
Which
fine. I just wanted to double check. I didn't know
yeah,
if you wanted to keep it together, if you wanted to take the break. So
no, we'll
no
take the break.
problem.
Uh,
We'll pick it up then, and it'll be probably then October. Then we'll be picking them up again.
Correct. I would think so.
So
All right. Let us
all right.
segue into DC. All right, so we got to talk about my adventures with Superman. So the first episode, or I'm sorry, episode
5.
6, 5.
No, no, no. Sorry, you're right. Episode 6. My bad. Episode 6.
Episode 6 was them going into. They were looking for. Oh my gosh, what is his name?
Jimmy.
John? Jimmy, thank you. John. They're looking for Jimmy, and both Lois and Clark are looking for him, and they can't find him anywhere. And
Not answering his phone.
nope, but they do find his phone.
Yep.
So and then they start watching the videos of him like being like, "This is your friend Firebird, and we are at Area 52." Isn't that what he calls it?
Yep. Area 52.
He goes, basically the Area 52. You know, this is an area that nobody's allowed in, and now we're gonna see what happens. And then all of a sudden, it goes like screen goes black, and you just hear him yell.
Getting dragged away by a gorilla.
Well, we don't know it's a gorilla yet. At that particular point in time, when we watched the video,
No, yeah, you're right. Yeah, yeah. He just gets dragged away. Yep, that's right.
although I think we've already seen the gorilla at this point because I think we see him captured.
Yes.
So when he's in a captured area, and it's a highly intelligent gorilla, and a machine with a brain in it.
Mm-hmm.
Can't make this stuff up. Apparently, they were part of the school funded by the government, specifically Task Force X, which is everywhere, and they were used to basically create weapons slash science. I guess the best way to put it, which is where they created the highly intelligent gorilla, and then they had a wormhole or a black hole.
Yep.
And the black hole was used when Task Force S came in to eliminate everything. Because they were, I forget what the issue was. There was some sort of issue where they were ending the project.
They just no longer thought it was necessary, so they were terminating the project.
Yeah, and they pretty much killed everyone except for the scientist and the gorilla. Although
Because they set off the black hole, so I'm assuming they just thought that they were dead.
agreed. No, agreed. They assumed they were dead, and obviously they were not. But obviously the scientist died, or like got severely damaged because he put his brain inside of a robot.
Yep.
And Clark, when he gets inside, he starts to lose his abilities, mostly due to the fact that we find out later, but it's hinted at very severely that it's a red sun generated
Yeah.
generator. I mean, a shield generator, and it causes him to like be very weakened. And these robots start attacking him, and everyone just assumes that it's protection of the facility. And when they finally get in, everyone's kind of like, "Yeah, no, we don't have robots here."
Yeah, that was funny. Like, I thought that scene was actually really funny with when they're talking and then just all over the microphone, just like, "What are you talking about, robots? I thought we were supposed to be having privacy." Yeah, we never said that. Don't worry about it. We were giving you your private time until we heard you say robots.
Eavesdropping because we haven't heard it in a while, but we were going to let you not know we were listening. But now that you said that, FYI, we don't have robots here, so it's somebody else attacking you. And it turns out to be Task Force X. Shocking again. So they set off the black hole again to save themselves, and then this time they used the black hole to make a portal, and
It was successful this time.
Yes, and they left.
Yep.
And then we see the leader of Task Force X again.
The general.
Yes, who, and it's hinted in this episode even more that it could be Lois's dad, because Clark's like, "How do you know of tracking people?" "Oh, my dad taught me." You know what I'm
Yep.
saying? Like, again, not they're very subtle,
Yep.
but like very much hinting that maybe that could be her dad.
Yep. And obviously we find out that he mentions when he comes in with oh my god, with the other
Oh
guy. Huh?
no! Oh yes, yes, yes. The guy with
The
the
an
robot suit.
the android, yeah.
Oh
Amazo. I forget his human name.
yeah, but I know
Um,
what you're talking about. Yes.
Ivo, Professor Ivo. Um, we find out that he was the one that was his first task to eliminate the campus
Project.
the first time. So that was that was cool.
And it also looks like he still has his tech.
Yeah. Oh, Amazo.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, I mean, I think he got infused with it. He's definitely looks healthier than he did the last time we saw him.
No, definitely. He's not 100%, but he's definitely healthier.
So
Um,
you remember who the campus is, right?
the what?
The campus, the scientists that where they were working. You know what division that is? They mentioned it.
Wasn't it Task Force X?
No. Task Force S was sent in to destroy them because they
It wasn't
didn't
Star
want.
Labs, was it?
No, it was Cadmus.
I don't know what that is.
Well, it's another science group. They experimenting with aliens.
I know the next episode really well, okay? Meaning, like, I know all the innuendos in that one, but this one, no, not.
But that one, obviously. So when you saw the gorilla, did you think it was Gorilla Grodd at first?
I thought it was potentially Gorilla Grodd. I
And
don't think
obviously he
it.
started speaking French, and no.
Yeah, no, obviously. No, I think, well, when he was being nice, um,
Oh, yeah. Hey, you never know. They're changing up the formula with this. So
no, valid, but you understand what I'm getting at. I definitely thought he was going to be, if it wasn't Gorilla Grodd himself, it was one of Gorilla Grodd's like minions,
hmm
and that's where I thought they were going with this. And then it wasn't, and I was like, oh, I don't think I ever thought that particular gorilla was Gorilla Grodd.
Oh, okay. When I first saw it, I thought when I first saw the gorilla, I was like, "Oh, it's Gorilla Grodd," and then he started speaking French. I
No,
was
I
like,
don't.
"Oh,
I
no."
don't. I felt like, and it's a very stupid reason because you're right. They've changed like the form of how they do things. I thought he was too small.
Oh, okay. Fair,
But
fair.
again,
That's fair.
but that's just me. Again, there was no rhyme or reason to it because they very well could have made him Gorilla Grodd.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like but it didn't really change anything. In the sense of like he very well could have been just that size. Um, yeah, overall, I did like the episode, and it was also a friendship building thing. Um, and
A
then
love story,
yeah, the love story thing.
multiple love stories.
Yeah, yeah, a gorilla and his scientist. Um, robot now, I guess.
Brain.
Although I think what threw me off was that episode directly led into the next episode.
Yeah,
Like
pretty well.
the events. Yeah, but do you know that portal that they made was how he escaped?
How who escaped?
In the next episode, the guy who escapes to find
Oh,
Clark. That's
oh
how
yeah, yeah,
he.
yeah.
That's how he got out. That's how he
Oh, was
escaped.
it? Oh, I missed that.
So all right, so we're gonna jump to the next episode. The women stated that there was a portal opened by a gorilla and a scientist, and whoever helped them is responsible for him getting out.
Oh, I completely missed that.
So anyway, okay, so we have a fan favorite character that was introduced in this one, Mr. Mimsaq. No, um,
Ah, mm,
Mr. M- M- it's not pronounced how it's spelled. I know that because there's way too
I
many consonants.
oh,
Um,
it is.
Mr.
I
Mr. Magics? No, no, no.
no,
Too simple.
Mr. I'm not even gonna. I
No.
can't even. I'm
Anyway,
gonna butcher it.
so he looks
Mr.
completely different.
Mixie. We're gonna call him Mixie.
Yeah, no, that's good. They made him look so different in it that I didn't know that was who it was in the beginning.
Oh yeah. As soon as I saw him start talking, I was like, there's no way that's him. I like
Well,
started.
you know what I knew it was him? Was when he started snapping and making all the different Clarks.
Oh, I figured I knew it was him before, but
I don't think I was confident because of how different he looked until the snapping of him and he
mhm,
changed it to all the old versions of Superman.
yeah, which I thought
Um,
was awesome.
yeah, they had the Justice League one, which I thought was cool.
Yep,
Like the our Justice League, you know.
yep. Our animated Justice League. Yep, that was
And
that
then they
was
had
that was nice.
the old animated ones too, which I thought was cool. But no,
Don't
that
sound
was
so enthusiastic about those.
no, because it didn't hit me in the nostalgia like the other one. I was like, oh, they're doing the thing, and they did it. Um, yeah, so he tricks Clark to work with him, which is so shocking. So apparently he's in a weakened state, which is something I don't think I registered because I didn't realize his hat was his power.
Yeah. Well,
Definitely in this
in
show.
in in this one, it was like his real power source, but he still has his powers.
Yeah, but he can't use it like as great as he can once he gets his hat. But
Yeah.
anyway, we don't know he's missing his hat, to be fair, because
Yep.
the way they and I think they did such a great job because of the way they made him look, we never questioned the hat,
Exactly.
which I thought
We
was very ingenious because that was a big like shock to me as an audience member because I was like, oh, they just changed the way he looks, so therefore he doesn't need a hat. You know
hmm
what I'm saying? Like that was my thought process on that. So he gets Clark. He tricks Clark into helping him, um, and trying to get his. He's looking for something. At this point, we don't know what he's looking for, and so he basically tricks Clark into saying that his Lois Lane's in trouble and he needs to help her, and so Clark, being Clark, is like, "I'll help her," and he does. Or let me rephrase that. He goes with him, thinking he's going to help Lois.
Yep.
And then during this, Lois is met with alternate versions of Lois.
And Jimmy's.
Only one Jimmy. And it's
We
Jessica?
yep.
No. Jackie?
Janelle,
Janelle.
I
Thank you.
think.
Because it's Lewis. There's a Lewis.
There's
There's a
a
Lewis.
Lewis. Yep.
There's
There's
a
a
Lewis.
Lewis Lane.
There's a Lewis Lane. Um, yeah, there's a league of Loises. And I think that threw me off. Out of all the things to happen, that was definitely on the bottom of my list. In fact, I shouldn't even say that. I don't think it was on the list.
I definitely wasn't expecting that, but I mean, in actuality, like out of all like the female characters in like DC, you could picture her doing something. You can very much picture her doing something like that.
Oh, no, I 100% agree with you. It's just not something I think of. It would definitely,
Exactly.
if you're right, if anybody did, it would be her.
hmm But
And
I 100% agree with you. Didn't click in my head when we were first seeing the robot, like the suit people. We were sorry, them taking off the masks and showing another Lois Lane. Whew, blew my mind.
agreed, agreed. And I think the other thing too is these are specifically Lois's without Clark's.
Yes, I've had bad experiences with Clarks.
Yes, Clarkless Lois's. I guess the best way to put it. Again, they did exist in the same unit, but
Can't really say Clarkless Lois's because there was Clark. It was just evil Clark.
what I mean is they're not. They weren't. They weren't friends.
Okay, fair enough.
You know what I mean? Like the trio like stuck together in this one, whereas in their universes they've split up.
Yes. Okay, I see what you mean.
So Lois and Jimmy go with the Loises, and it turns out that the Loises only brought them aboard so they wouldn't mess up what they need to do to take out Clark.
And use her hair to find him.
Well, yeah, all right, that is another factor too. But
But yes.
realistically, they she was apparently League material, like she was a League level like operative, but I forgot how they phrased it. No, she wasn't League material, but she was enough of them to cause a problem.
Yep.
That's what it was. Because
Yep.
it was a weird phrasing. Like, because she was like, "Oh, like, you guys all got picked at like 18. I'm 23.
Yep. Yep.
I guess
She's
you guys don't
older and
know."
hasn't. Yep. She's the least accomplished Lois out of the league. So she's like feeling the
Oh,
pressure.
literally like 19 Pulitzer Award, and it's like, and then it's like Lois Lane, key to the city. Lois
Yep.
Lane loves her dad. like,
Yep.
like, and she's just like, oh, okay. like, just hit me
I'll,
everywhere. Just
I'll just be over here. Okay.
like that's not like I was okay with the professional, but when you got personal, that hurt. That just hurt. Um, so apparently there were secrets that she wasn't allowed to know about, which is not something you tell Lois Lane ever. That I
Nope.
think, as weird as it sounds, for me, that was probably the dumbest thing that the Loises could have ever done.
Yeah. Yeah. They should have known to tell a Lois not to not to snoop is 100% going to get her to snoop.
Yeah, you just tell her it's a broom closet or something like. You know what I'm saying? Like you you know she's curious. Don't get me wrong, but like the moment you lock it up, she's going in.
Yep.
So anyway, she gets locked up after finding out about I think it said Superman Prime, did it not?
Ye Wait, what?
When she was looking up files, remember she was going through all the Loises, and then she found one on Superman. But I thought the file said Superman Prime.
No, I don't think so. I don't think it said Superman Prime.
It said Superman something.
I think it just said Superman X.
Superman what?
X.
Oh, maybe it did. Maybe it did. But anyway, it was only for high-ranking Loises only, and you could only get the access to it in the headquarters.
Yeah, it was Superman X because it was redacted. Yep,
Yeah,
that's what it
okay.
was. Yep.
You're right. You're right. It was redacted. Um, so anyway, she now wants to find out more, but then she gets captured or locked up. And what kills me is, and we'll talk about this a little after. So they bring Jimmy with them because they don't want them together because they're bad together or good together, depending on how we would phrase it.
Depending
Um,
on the situation.
I mean, good for them, bad for the Loises.
Yep.
Um, so they separate them, and then they start opening fire on Clark because they find Clark. Um,
Shoot him with the kryptonite guns.
yeah, yeah. So okay, they did some weird things with the gun. So like it made kryptonite grow on him, but then
Yeah.
it disappeared. It was weird. I don't know.
I think that just was the situation where like the gun like they were trying to show the obviously the kryptonite was affecting him, and I don't know if it was just for show or what, but like you said, the kryptonite was growing on him, and then he saw that Lois was in trouble, so he basically, as Superman being Superman, giving him the ability to overcome anything, just because his sheer will to save Lois just had him uh overcome the kryptonite. Um,
And Mimsy, he basically tricked Superman, obviously, and then sent him to another place with him, and was like, "All right, now we gotta wait." He's like, "Wait for who? No, you'll see, you'll see. They'll be here." And he just waits, and then while they're distracted with Clark, he then takes their ship and goes to their headquarters.
yep.
And our Lois Lane breaks out. We don't know how because she's Lois Lane. That's really what it
She's
comes down
Lois
to.
Lane. Yep.
Like it's Lois Lane, and that's all you have to say in this series. It's Lois Lane,
Yep.
and it's like, oh, okay, I get it. So she gets out and she puts a gun to him, and he's like, oh, and she's like, wait, are we heading to the headquarters? Yeah. All right, we'll go. You're not gonna stop me? No. You know what? I always liked you, Lois. You're a
I
good
thought
one.
that whole scene was just so funny. Like with you, what you did was like I knew I liked you, but then also like when she put the gun to him and he's like, I literally had this all planned to avoid this very situation, and I'm still here. Like,
Like, I did all this elaborate planning, I did the whole thing, and now I'm here dealing with the thing I did not want to deal with. And then he was like, then he finds out like she's all for going. He's like, you know what? This worked out. Let's go.
yep, I'm not gonna
And
complain.
and then she's asking him all these questions. He's like, oh, I know exactly what's on that file. And he's like, but I want you to find out about that file because it's going to be fun and entertaining for me.
hmm
And then he breaks. So while she's doing that, she finds out all the information of the bad Superman. Um, and she basically finds what?
No. She doesn't find out about the bad Superman yet.
No, she finds the file, and the file confuses her because it's a ball. You're right. It
Yep,
was literally just a ball.
yep. It was the green sphere. That was it.
Yeah,
And
you're
she
right.
start.
You're
I
right.
think if I remember correctly, she started scrolling through it and seeing the other Superman, but she didn't. They didn't show anything bad yet.
No, I think it was
Um,
just names, if I remember correctly, like Superman
yeah,
this. That.
yep. I saw. Yes, they were showing a couple of different names. Yeah, you think you might be right with that.
But anyway,
Uh,
and then
but
while this is going on, we then have our friend Mimsy find his hat, which literally was like verbatim his hat he wears in the comics.
hmm
And then when he put it on, it turned into a crown, and I thought that was hilarious. He gains
um,
his third eye and then starts going ham.
well, as he's finding the hat, the other Lois and Superman show up.
Yes.
And Jimmy. So like that kind of happens all together, and Mixie,
He goes full power.
yep, Mixie gets full power, and he starts going ham and having fun,
And then
and
our versions of Lois, Jimmy, and Clark figure out a plan to actually stop him, not before making out first.
yeah, yep,
And it's like I like that scene because Jimmy's like, okay, like I appreciate this, guys. Like you're having your moment, but can we do this after we remove after we stop this creature? And that was just a funny moment, and I know it was meant to be funny.
yep,
Uh, but then our Lois Lane comes up with the plan to actually stop him, which I think is incredible because it took all three of them. It
yep,
took Clark to distract him, Lois to remove the hat, and then Jimmy to tackle him.
yep. Which I also think is funny because he could just teleport away, and you just have Jimmy sitting there like just holding him, and it's like he's just like, trying to fight. I'm like, you really?
Well, at the same time, like, and I don't want to spoil it, but like he did leave.
No, he did. But
So like,
I thought it was funny. It's like Jimmy of all people is going to be holding him down.
well, I think the point was out of all the people to be captured by, you know what I'm saying? Like he probably was the least expected to do so.
Okay, yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like he was more worried about Lois's, right? And
Yep.
obviously he was worried about Clark only because it's Clark. But realistically, he knew he could handle
Yep.
it in his mind. But it was the
Yep.
Lois's that where he was scared of the most because of what they've already done to him before.
Yep.
And when the hat came off, I think he was obviously in shock for obvious reasons because he got outplayed by that Lois, and then got tackled by that Jimmy.
I agree. Agreed. That was yeah.
They did such a great job of him. Like I loved his character from the get go.
Mixie.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah. No, definitely. He's a great character. It was hilarious.
Yeah, no, they did a great job with him. And then, so obviously he gets captured and everything else. And then, oh my gosh, what is her name? The other Firebird. Jimmy's female version.
Literally just went through this.
He actually opens a portal to send the three of them back to their dimension, their universe, and accidentally erase their file.
Yep.
Which I thought was really awesome.
She saw the good in them and was willing to like try to make it right.
Yeah, she noticed something that the Loises didn't.
hmm
Not all Clarks are bad. Not all Lois's are like material for the league, and not all Jimmys are stupid.
Yeah,
Tommy is stupid, but not all of them.
he's a special stupid.
He's not been wrong, and I think the thing that threw me off too was, we didn't mention this about the last episode, but the last episode, Jimmy admits that he's known Clark was Superman for like a while.
Yep. That was another hilarious scene. He's just like, you ripped the first day we were roommates. You ripped the handle off the bathroom door,
And you said it was the screws.
the screws were loose. It was like, I mean, it could have been the screws. You literally
But
ripped
you
it in
broke
half.
it in half.
It was just really bad screws.
I just felt like you needed to wait until you were ready to tell me, okay? And then he got all
and,
pissed off that Lois found out before him. He's like, "You told
yep.
Lois before me, your best friend."
That was
And I just like,
one situation after another.
yeah, no, that one was really good. But I forgot to mention that, and it was a funny scene. But anyway,
Yep.
back to this. So Lois comes back. Clark and Lois supposedly have their date.
Oh yeah,
Where Jimmy
they had a nice date.
where Jimmy runs away. Oh, I gotta go. It's late. It's super late. Have fun, guys.
It just comes
Um,
back. Hey,
and then we noticed Lois using the file and finding out that the
yep.
Superman
She
that
comes.
they were dealing with,
She goes back home and lays down and remembers she has it, so she's scrolling through it. Yep.
where Mimsy comes and watches it with her.
Yep.
She's like, "What are
And
you
that.
doing here?" He's like, "What? I wanted to see this." Are you supposed to be in jail? Yeah, I don't do that. I
Yeah.
feel like you raised it. He goes, "Oh
No,
yeah."
he didn't like it. It was like
I
something
forgot
like
what it
that.
was. It was a phrase like it was like he chose, like it was his choice to leave. Like,
Yeah, it was like, oh, it wasn't my thing.
it's not my thing. And he's like, "Ooh," but I thought this was much more entertaining. And he's watching the whole thing. And I was just like, "Wow!" And that's how the episode ends. And
And that's when we find out that all the other Superman that the Loises were worried about is bad, which is why they were worried about her Superman.
correct.
And I think Mixie says that every Superman it becomes evil. I think is obviously not like it's him playing mind games, but I think he said that like because she was like, "Are all the Supermen like this?" And he goes, "Yeah."
I think, if I remember correctly, I think he was smart enough not to say it, because he doesn't. I think he alludes to the fact that many of them are. I
Oh
think
no,
he,
okay. I think he. Now that you say that, I think he says not all of them are, but a good portion of them are.
yeah, it was the way he phrased it was like, no, not all of them, but like many of them.
Yeah.
Like not 100% of them, but like 99% of them. It's
Yeah.
basically like, granted, that's not what he said, but that's how he alluded to it, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Like it was meant to be like, yeah, most of them are bad. And to him, they probably are. Like in his eyes, they are because they mess with him, and he don't like
True.
that. But yeah, overall, that was a great episode.
They.
I like that episode better than the episode the robot and the gorilla.
Yeah.
Not to say that was
No.
a bad episode because it wasn't. It was just that the League of Loises took the cake.
No. Yeah. No. They were both great episodes, which like, I know we were saying before we started recording. It was just like we were both unexpected with how good those two episodes were.
Yeah,
Uh.
yeah, and like it's this series is definitely better than what I thought.
Mm-hmm. It's building up. Each episode is definitely getting better as
I
we're
like
going.
the anime feel with it too because of like the opening scene and the ending credit scenes is very anime like, and I do like that piece. But man, there is so much going on and so much because we know how many episodes are going to be?
Actually, I do not know.
Not
I
right.
was looking it up to see like just to double check with the characters from the last episode from episode 6 with
Yep.
the gorilla and the brain, just to make sure it was the one I thought it was.
Yeah.
And I just completely forgot to see how many episodes they were.
Well, keep
I
talking.
know.
Talk about how great these episodes are. They're
Oh, the
amazing.
great episodes are so amazing, but I loved the multiverse that the aspect that they brought into it, and
Oh,
like
agreed.
it was such a short episode, but it made it flow so well. Like it's
Yes.
insane how like just a short 20-minute episode has done like in like no offense, but like it's been they handled the multiverse so far better than like the movies have so far.
It looks like there's only 9 episodes. There's no way.
Really?
No. No, that can't be right. Unless
If
they're
that's
only, that better
if
not be the case.
if there's only 9 episodes, I'm gonna be a little upset.
Hold on,
There's
hold on.
no way.
There might be only 9 episodes that they're talking about. Like
That's
they're
what I was about to say. Like have been announced thus far because next week is episode 8, so the week after will be 9.
oh no 10.
Only 10? Oh, come on.
Now I'm only getting 10. Yeah, September 1st is supposed to be the. I'm saying the last episode because out of all the things I've seen, this is the only one that's given me 10. Everything else was giving me 9.
Oh, that's lame. I'm hoping it's kind of they're doing it, which is weird because like if it's on Cartoon Network, those episodes they're usually longer seasons.
But it's because I think it's because it's technically on Adult Swim.
Oh yeah, that's also true. Hopefully then they're doing like a mid-season break where they're gonna give it a few weeks and then pick up again.
Well, the whole thing is like they're not announcing, like, as weird as it sounds, like they're not stating like the 10th episode is the last episode of the season.
Oh really?
Like, as weird as it sounds. Oh no, it does. The first season will consist of 10 episodes.
Oh, that's lame. Uh,
Well, yeah. I mean, I'm not going to ruin it, but I know the names of the next episodes. Um,
I mean you could tell me the name of the next one.
0 Day Part One.
Zero Date?
0 Day, like day.
Yeah, Zero Day. Okay, interesting.
I think episode 10 is when we find out if Lois's father is who he says he is. Because it's 0 Day Part 1 and then 0 Day Part 2. So what's going to tick me off is I'm going to watch this week's episode that comes out, and it's going to be a cliffhanger, and I got to wait a whole week for the next one, and I'm not going to be happy. I'm not going to be happy. I'm not gonna be happy. And then the final one is the Hearts of the Fathers.
Okay, that makes sense then.
That's the only reason why I'm saying that might be like the only because of the name of it, but it gives me no description other than that.
Yep.
So yeah, I find it weird that that's going to be that they got to make and the weird thing too is with the strikes going on, season 2 is going to be pushed back.
Yep.
Which really
That's gonna
stinks.
be. Yep, that's gonna be more upsetting. For all we know, like the strike could cause it to get canceled too.
That is also true. That is also true, which would really stink.
Yeah.
All right, let's talk about Blue Beetle.
Okay.
All right. Well, Blue Beetle looks good.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it.
It's definitely cool in general and all that stuff. What kills me is the main villain of this is a character I don't think I knew existed.
Yep. I mean, it's another blue beetle. It's another beetle.
It's not.
It's not.
Well, all right. So yes, in like I'm assuming in the movie it is like it's supposed to be like the first version of it, but in the comics it's Carapax the Indestructible Man.
Oh. Okay.
He was also known as the Indestructible. So he's Conrad Carapax, and I'm probably butchering the name first off. Also known as the Indestructible Man, is a Guatemalan war veteran who became a cyborg capable of unleashing virtually indestructible weaponry at will after being experimented on by Korg Industries. He's also the right-hand man of Victor Cord and an enemy of Blue Beetle.
Okay. All right. I thought it was another beetle. So okay. Interesting.
So like this is where it gets weird because it's based on the trailers. the Beetle is created by the industry. Is how it's alluded.
So yeah, off the trailers, yes, which
I mean,
obviously we know is not, but
well, yes, but you understand what I'm getting at. But I'm wondering if the Blue Beetle, they were trying to replicate it, and that's where this guy comes from. You know what I'm saying? Like,
oh, okay, I see where you're going with that. Okay, yeah.
because like nobody could use the Blue Beetle. You know, they found it from space. You know what I'm saying? It
Mm-hmm.
wouldn't work for them. They're not happy about it. So we're gonna make our own, and they do, and it turns into this guy, which I
That
think
makes
is
sense.
incredible. Which I always think this is a huge movie trope, but it works in this scenario, where obviously Blue Beetle is blue, and I know it sounds stupid when I say that, but like blue is more of a heroic color, and the indestructible man is red.
Yep, and red is evil. Yep.
So I mean, again, it's a movie trope, but like it works for this obviously because of the
Yep.
contrast between the two characters. But overall, it looks good. I think it's going to be very. I think it's going to be very similar, in my opinion, to like Shazam,
One or two.
the first one, joke heavy.
Oh, joke heavy. Okay, yeah, I could see that.
Because like Jaime, I mean, yes, he is a kid, but he's not a kid. You know what I mean? Like it's a weird thing where it's like he's more of a young adult,
Yep.
so but he's still very childish. Yes, he's very smart, but he's also very immature at the same time. And so you have that mixed in together. Plus, you have an uncle like George Lopez, and it just goes downhill from there, ladies and gentlemen.
George Lopez is probably gonna make the movie.
Have you? All right. So first off, have you seen like interviews with all of them together?
No, no,
So
I have
like
not.
the promos and everything else, obviously, and so like they were talking about like, oh, what's your favorite on stage snack? And so like the one's going like potato chips. Oh, I do like peanut butter and crackers, and George Lopez goes edibles. Just like, but the thing is, it's like everyone's like, oh, I really like the peanut butter or I like the saltiness. He's like, yeah, I like the edibles. I like to not be on I like to be in a different state when I'm on stage, and it just, for whatever reason, just made my day.
That's awesome.
And so I'm very happy with who they casted as the villain. He's from the Mayans. Um, so it's the biker show.
Yep.
So it's a spin-off of Sons of Anarchy, specifically the Hispanic version of the Sons of Anarchy.
I
And
actually never knew that it was a spin-off of that show, but okay. Cool. That's
yeah,
actually cool.
it's a sequel spin-off type of. It's a weird. It happens after the events of that show, but like it's its own thing, but it's in the same universe.
Okay.
Like it, like it's literally
Yeah,
it's
it's a
just
spin-off series. Yeah.
yeah. But yeah, so one of the one of the main characters for like the first four seasons, who comes back a little bit for season five, but he actually is in Blue Beetle, and I think he left season five or and shaved his head because of this role, actually. But I don't know that for a fact. But I just know everything was like filmed so long ago because of
Yeah.
everything. Um, that it very well could have linked itself together. But overall, I mean, it looks very good. I think it's going to be very joke forward, which could like border on the edge of like too much. But we haven't seen it, so we don't know. I
I think there's
definitely.
going to be some serious. I think it's going to be pretty serious. That they're going to be.
I'm sorry.
It's
When I see Grandma with a massive gun, I'm sorry. It's going to be very hard for me to take that seriously. Because
no, no, no. I'm not.
did you
I'm
see
not
that?
taking you.
Did
I
you
did.
see?
I did. I did see that. I'm not. I'm not. I'm not saying that it's not going to be joke filled. It's definitely going to be joke filled. But I think there's going to because of this.
There's going to
How
be.
the Blue Beetle story is, it has some serious tone to it. So I think it's going to be more joking for him to cope with the situation.
I agree with. It's definitely Spider-Man like.
Yes.
I think that's a better way of describing it. Very
Yeah.
Spider-Man like.
Yeah.
Where it's like there's going to be a lot of seriousness going on at times, but he's going to make jokes of it because that's literally his only way of. It's his coping mechanism.
Yeah.
Like, I'm laughing because at this point, if I don't, I'm literally gonna get like a spike through the chest.
Eh,
It's sad but true.
yep.
All right.
Or a laser
Overall,
cannon.
I'm looking forward to it. Very excited to see the two go toe to toe, and Blue Beetle looks very comic book accurate.
Yes. I mean, in actuality, like I know you've been saying it for a couple times how comic book accurate the costume is. It's really tough not to be comic book accurate with this costume. It's like it's a robot suit.
Agreed, but also his villain is too.
Yes.
Like his villain is like very much like full on like spikes and all looks like verbatim like he came out of the comics.
That's
Um,
cool.
which I find interesting because on paper it does look a little like Gundam style. Um, like the massive robots.
Yep, 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 yep. Yep.
But it looks good on camera. At least
Yeah.
from the small amount we've seen of him, it looks good. Overall, looking forward to it. All right, now we are going to move on to Marvel, and we're going to be first talking about the unexpected series that we were definitely not expecting at all, which
Nope.
was I Am Groot season 2. All right, did you? I don't remember them ever discussing a season 2.
Nope. I'm just not expecting it. I'm scrolling through Twitter and all of a sudden I just see, oh, get ready for Groot season 2. I was like, excuse me?
Yeah, when you sent it to me, I was like, and literally when you sent that to me, the next day on my news feed, Marvel just announced a secret project, and I was like, "Oh, it's not a secret anymore." I know, but it was just funny because
I'm in the inn.
I did at the time I got the notification, yes, but not until you sent it to me. Um, it was hilarious because it looks funny as heck. Um, I personally, so the one I'm most looking forward to is the space ice cream truck.
Yeah, yeah.
The space ice cream truck, and then it looks like he makes like a mud robot creature that has lasers.
Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
I'm more, I personally, I'm more looking forward to seeing him with the ice cream because I like
That'll
how
be
he
funny.
pulls out his pockets and it's just twigs.
Yep. Yep.
It's so sad.
I'm gonna be. I think it's gonna be funny with like. I think I'm looking forward to the episode with the carrot nose, and then he.
So it's not a carrot nose; it's like a Mr. Potato nose,
Oh, Mr. Potato. Okay.
and he can actually smell with it, which I find
Yep.
hilarious.
It lifts up his arm and smells.
And you just see him the next scene just spray himself with, I'm assuming, deodorant, and he goes, it's perfect. And obviously, so this is going to take place, obviously, um, right after Guardians 2,
Yep.
because he's still a baby.
Or at least, or in the middle of it.
Oh, I just caught on. Yes, you're correct. It could be 2. I'm just saying, stating in general, like, it's definitely, like, it's obviously still, like,
It's pre-Infinity War.
100%, yeah. Um, but
Obviously,
also,
we're going to be seeing the live action debut of the Watcher.
I don't know. I don't know. I feel like the way they showed him, he's looks exactly like he did in What If.
Okay, so he's still. I mean, he's still making his live action debut because he's going to be in a live action series.
Yeah, yeah. Okay. All right.
Technically.
On a technicality, yes, but he's not. But the character itself is going to be CGI'd.
Yeah, he's still CGI'd. I mean, Groot is still going to be CGI'd, but it's still live action.
Groot's not real.
I'm sorry to ruin your childhood.
Like, notice why. Next thing you're going to tell me is Bradley Cooper didn't wear a raccoon suit.
Wait, he was wearing a suit?
He wasn't there. Um, no, it's cutesy. It's the perfect thing to kind of get us like in a good mood before Loki comes, because
Yeah,
realistically, Loki looks like it's going to make us sad.
yeah. It's gonna be a good thing. It's good. It's gonna be a good little
break.
night binge, like a little binge watch because obviously, what is it going to be like 5 episodes, 5 minutes each?
Yeah,
So
I mean maybe they might do them a little bit longer than the last season, but I mean overall they're going to be like no more than 5 minutes. They're
yeah,
short.
so it's going to be it's been a little bit since we've seen a something Marvel related, so it's going to be a little thing to like you said, hold us over until Loki.
Yeah, and then but I also don't think it's that. It's more of like okay, we've seen a bunch of like sad stuff in Secret Invasion. I want to see a bunch of sad stuff. I'm assuming in Loki. So it's
True.
like let's have a happy thing. And realistically, it's Groot. He's cute.
Yep.
Nobody's saying no to Groot.
Yeah, yeah. No, it'll be good. It'll be
Yeah.
entertaining, definitely.
I
See what kind of mischief he's gonna get into.
So the latest trailer for Loki though showed all of the like cast members of last season in like different versions of them in this season. So we
I
saw
mean, yeah,
so we
possibly.
well, okay. At the very least we've seen the actors. We don't
Yes.
know if it's we don't know if it's necessarily a different version of them. We're assuming it is based on their costume, but realistically we don't know.
We're assuming off their costume, and I'm going to go off of with how we ended season one.
Correct.
It could be it's going to be a different version.
Correct. So what we have is we have Mobius with us. We have Hunter B12. Is that her name?
Yes. Yeah, I think you're
So
right with that.
we saw her in multiple scenes in the trailer,
Yep.
um, all with different outfits. Then we have the judge. She was
Yep.
in it. I only saw her once. I don't remember seeing her multiple times.
Yep. I agree with you.
And then we had the guy who had all the Infinity Stones. Remember?
Yeah, the desk geek right at the beginning.
Yes. He
I
was
loved
there.
that. That scene was funny.
So he was there with in what looked like a trench, like he was like escaped a dungeon almost. Like that's kind of what it reminded me of. Although like that's not necessarily what happened. It just that's the feeling I get of him like looking up, being like, huh. And we see Sylvie, which I find very interesting. Um,
Working at Space McDonald's.
yeah, but then we see her with a machete and everything else, and we see Loki being much more powerful in this.
Yep.
That was a big thing for me. Um, and supposedly he's getting time skipped. Time
Yep.
lapse? Time lapse? Time skipped?
Time lapse. I think they said time lapse. I think that's what they said.
Which is hilarious. So the character that announces that, he's actually the guy, the young boy from the original Indiana Jones.
Oh, interesting.
He's also in Everywhere All at Once. Everything Everywhere All at Once. It was the
Hmm.
big multiversal movie that came out. Um, it was a Asian forward cast and everything else. It was critically acclaimed. It was
Oh, that movie. Okay.
yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
So
Yeah.
he was one of the main leads in it, and that was his first movie in like a long time since when he was a kid, because he played the stereotypical Asian boy in a lot of the old movies, like The Goonies, Indiana Jones. You know what I'm saying? Like he played in those things, and now he's more of a mainstream actor now after doing an independent film, and now is in Marvel.
Nice.
Granted, I don't think his part is that big, but that's not the point. The point is he's becoming a big name now, and I just think it's funny.
So he's the one that was at the intro of the trailer telling
Yeah,
Loki it was the
he comes
time.
down from the ceiling, and he's like, "Oh, he just time skipped. You know what that is? Yeah, but you can't do that in the TVA. But you just saw it. Yeah, I did.
So do you know how to fix it? No.
No, apparently, I don't know.
So he's the same guy that has the Infinity Stones, right?
No,
In the first season? Oh no, they're separate characters.
separate characters.
Oh, I thought they were the same character. Okay.
No. No, the guy I was talking about. We see him later in the trailer.
Oh, do we?
Yep, he's looking up. So the whole thing is he looks like he's like in the ground, but like in a specific path. So
Hmm.
like there's a path. It looks like there's a path or a trench, and he's in it, and he's looking up for some reason, and he looks like he's just escaped somewhere because he's dirty.
Mm.
and you see his face, and the reason why he looks up, I don't know, but the reason why they put it in the trailer is because you can tell that he's the guy from last season,
Yeah, yeah,
because
yeah.
we know he has a different version of himself in the end of the last episode, because his voice is heard as one of the guys running down. He was actually a hunter.
Oh, okay.
So obviously in the original one, his original version, or the main timelines universe, he is just the paperwork guy.
Yep.
But in the other universe, he was an actual like hunter, and we don't know what this version is. If it's the same version or what, because we don't know what's happened.
Okay. Interesting.
And it sounds like Sylvie and Loki are supposedly playing God, like trying
Yeah.
to fix the timeline.
I loved that line by Loki.
Well, no, I
Uh,
think my favorite is when she goes, "We're playing God." He goes, "We are gods."
yep.
And
I
then they
loved that
show,
line.
and I think what I like too is when they did that, they also showed the shadows grab that guy.
Yep.
Like we see the horns and everything, and then they grab the guy. I just thought that was kind of cool. And then I just like Mobius when Loki has the three of himself. He's like, "Don't you think that was a little over the top?" I thought it was great.
Yep. Yep. I'm looking forward to seeing this again. Obviously, it's been 2
2 years.
or 3 years.
It's been 2 years.
2 years. We've been wanting it for a while, so I'm very much looking forward to this. Obviously,
Yeah,
like
with all the
we've talked about
flashbacks and
this.
everything.
Yep, we've talked about this. This is what has been our favorite MCU show. So I can't wait to get a second season.
Yeah, yeah. Also looking forward to see Victor Timely,
Yep,
um, which is going to be
he's
interesting.
supposed to be the only Kang variant we see in this show, so we're just going to be entirely focused on him.
In the main story, yes.
You think they're going to show more?
I think they're going to show more. I don't think it's going to be anything until the very end. I think it's going to be a
Okay,
main focus of Victor Timely, and then when they dispose of him or whatever they do with him, then we will now see
then
the
we'll
other.
see more. Okay.
Yeah,
No,
and
okay. I
that's
mean that'll make sense. That would make sense because then it'll set up for like season
I
3 and other Marvel projects.
definitely, yes, I definitely agree with you though that it's going to be the season is going to be focused only on Victor Timely, and that's been clear from the get go. Um,
So, question for you before we get into it, before we whatever move on, whatever. Do you think that Victor Timely is one of the Kang variants, or do you think because I've heard a theory about it that he's actually the Kang we saw from Ant-Man getting sent back in time?
so this is where it gets weird because what I think happened to the Kang that was an Ant Man was he went into the unknown. He went into where the Devourer is or whatever it's called. You know what I'm talking about?
The creature, yeah.
Yep. And I think that's where he is. Now, could it be that he escaped and is now there hiding, waiting for his moment? Yes, it could be. I'm not convinced yet because it's all going to determine. It won't ruin it if they explain it well enough. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
My whole thing is it's unclear, but I wouldn't be surprised because here's the weird thing too, is like even though there were a bunch of different variants of Kang, they were all like all the main versions of Kang were all different timelines of him. As weird as it sounds, like they weren't different universes necessarily. They were different points in his life.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
So it's tough to say. Like they very well like in the comics, yes, it was the same Kang, but they all were the same Kang technically. You know what I'm saying? Like
Yep. Yep.
it's a weird thing where this one they're different universes. So like I'm leaning more towards that it's a different one because of how they've been doing it so far. But like at the same time, I wouldn't be surprised if they were comic book accurate and used the real Kang.
Okay.
But I don't know. I don't know. I don't. It's way too.
Obviously, this is just
It's
all
way too
theory until it actually gets to
correct.
it.
No, it's way too convoluted. The Kang is way too convoluted that we can't. I don't know, and I don't think
Hmm.
I'm confident I'll ever know. You know what I'm
Okay.
saying?
No, I was
until
just getting. I was just wondering about what you thought about it because I know that you had. So I remember you telling me that you thought that this Kang, that the main Kang, got sent to the pruning place, and
yes, and then
I
he couldn't
agree with
escape.
your theory.
But my whole thing too is I also think that it might be the real Kang or like the Kang that we know because what's her name, the judge is actually there.
Oh, okay.
So it leans more towards the fact that it could very well be. But then again, I'm going on the assumption that's the same one. It could be a different universes of her. You know what I mean?
Different judge. Yep,
It,
yep, yep.
yeah. So it's really tough because we know all the characters, but we don't at the same time. It's a weird situation.
We know of the characters, we just don't know their story.
We know all the actors and who they play, but we don't know if it's the same one we know.
Yep, yep.
That's really what it comes down to, and that's going to be the toughest thing. But at the same time, it's just the trailer. It's not like I guarantee you they're going to explain it without a problem.
Oh yeah. This is all just to cause conversation, which is doing a great job.
Oh, 100%. Because they showed every single actor pretty much that was in the first season that had any like part really in the trailer. Like in this last trailer, we saw everyone except
Yep.
for no everyone, everyone,
Yeah. No,
all the
yeah.
main ones, all the main ones.
All the main characters is making a comeback. Yes.
Yes, whether it's the same version or not, we don't know, but it's the actors for sure.
Yep.
Um, yeah, so I mean, this is obviously highly anticipated. I've been looking forward to this when they announced that there was even going because this is the first show to have a season two.
Yep. That's yes. Yeah.
I mean, you
That's
could
true.
argue that technically Groot, but like I'm not counting that.
Groot doesn't count.
Well, in fairness, the other thing too was Loki was announced for season two before anything else,
Yeah.
because that was the big thing where because all the MCU shows were considered to be limited series, and
The Yep.
Loki was still considered that, or at least advertised as that until the end of the season.
Until it said Loki will return in season 2.
Correct. No, but you understand what I'm getting at. Like, but it was advertised as a limited series,
Yeah.
and then yeah. So this is like the first MCU show to have a second season. Um,
Man, it's crazy to think about that. They did that all the shows have just been one-off seasons except for this one.
but they've brought them
And
into
and
other
and what if?
projects.
And what if?
Yes, but it hasn't happened yet.
It has not happened yet. Yes.
I do
What
agree
if
with you. It
actually
hasn't.
was the other show that we knew was getting a second season?
Well, it was. I think it was announced when they announced season one that there was going to be a season two.
Did they?
I thought so.
Oh, okay. I don't remember that. I
Let me
remember
see.
it being after being for sure, but I didn't realize that they announced it at the same time.
I think they did, but I'm not confident now. But anyway, overall, Loki looks amazing. Cannot wait to watch it. I know Mike and I will be talking about it at length. In fact, we'll probably have to delete each other's numbers so we don't text each other before the.
Oh, this is gonna be tough.
I think Loki will be the toughest one for us.
Yep,
I think
definitely.
all the others have been easy enough or easier than I expected. I think Loki, I'm going to break personally.
Loki's gonna be tough because there's just gonna be so much
I
going on.
already know that there's going to be something where it ends, and I'm going to be like, "Did like is that like?" And I'm going to be really wanting to talk it out so bad, but I'm going to have to hold my tongue. But overall, looking forward to it. All right, let us move on to character spotlights. I think you've been going first a lot. I think
I think so.
so. I'm going to go first this time just to make it easier.
Okay.
So, my character spotlight is on a woman named, and I hope I pronounce her name right,
Probably won't.
Ravonna Renslayer. That name should sound familiar to you, Mike. Does it?
Was she just the one in Secret Invasion?
Nope.
No? Okay.
She's actually the judge from Loki.
Oh, okay.
So her real name was Ravonna Renslayer, and she's from Earth. So this is from the comics. She is from Earth 6311. She's from the same universe that Kang is from. In fact, she was part of the last kingdom that was unconquered by Kang the Conqueror in the 40th century of Earth. In that time period, Kang actually spared her people, mostly due to the fact that he was in love with her.
Ooh la la.
Yes. Um,
So many love stories today.
yeah, pretty much. So in a weird way, so she starts off as his lover and everything else. Then she gets a revival because apparently she disappears. Because timelines, let's talk about it, right? So she actually, this is what kills me. She's been disappeared and replicated, and has multiple different versions. FYI. The reason for that is because anytime the present or like the present day Marvel universe changes, she changes as well because it's supposed to be a future. You know what I'm saying? Like she's part of the future, so when her past changes, which is the present, things happen and her universe changes. It's a weird concept, but anyway.
Interesting.
Yeah, 100%. So she's part of the. She gets in part of the Council of the Cross Time Kangs. She actually poses herself as a Kang variant, calling herself Kang Nebula. And in fact, she poses herself not only as Kang, but also as Nebula, which we know from Guardians of the Galaxy.
Mm-hmm.
She then, excuse me, she is trying to then, her first plot saw her appearing to the then Avenger Dr. Druid in visions in order to gain his help in securing highly powerful weapons that were believed to exist within the bubble of the heart at time. And so she teams up with him to try to help him. But apparently, one of the Avengers, specifically She-Hulk, battled Ravonna. And apparently, she lost in the time stream along with Druid. So apparently, she got stuck in the time frame and nobody knew what was happening. Later, she attempted to influence the Fantastic Four into freeing her from the time storm and helped her gain the ultimate nullifier. But her plans were thwarted by the team, and she later escaped the time storm into Earth 616 in the year 1961, where she was defeated by a younger version of Druid before she took control of him once again. She later takes on another disguise known as the Terminatrix. I'm not even making this up. It's literally her name, and it bothers me to say. And she makes this version of herself to battle Kang himself. And Kang sacrificed himself so that she could live. Wasn't that sweet?
Aw, true love.
It's okay. He just brings himself back because he's an alternate loop. So now calling herself Terminatrix, Ravonna puts Kang in status, and in order to keep his empire in order and safe from the Council of Cross-Time Kangs, she began posing as Kang, and the only beings aware of her deception were the beings, the Acronauts, which I don't know who they are. Alioth was the name of the creature. She also began investigating
Right.
errors earlier in time and discovered the temporal creature known as Alioth? No. Alioth? I just said the name. And now
You
I
did.
can't say it. Huh?
You did, and I'm the same thing. As soon as you said it, it
It's
went
gone.
out again.
Anyway, she in the errors and threatened to consume Kang's empire as well. So later, Ravonna's future self, Revelation, which apparently she has so many different gosh darn names, it irritates me. She summoned 3 Avengers, Thunderstrike, War Machine, and U.S. Agent, to stop the Terminatrix from reviving Kang, and in retaliation, holy shoot, I cannot speak today, the Terminatrix summoned Avengers of her own, Captain America, Iron Man, and Thor. While the two teams of Avengers were manipulated into fighting each other, Terminatrix was lured into the year 9999 AD by the Revelation, when Immortus was finally about to die, and his wife, Ravonna Renslayer, wished to die alongside him. However, neither could bear to ask their son, Marcus Immortus, to kill his mother. And so Immortus summoned 6 alternate versions of his wife from earlier in her life, including Terminatrix, placing them in status, and Immortus explained that by killing their future self, they would go on a path to become her and live a life of fulfillment. Terminatrix volunteered and euthanized her elder self right after Immortus died, and then immediately escaped, leaving the fate of the other Ravonas unknown.
Jesus.
Yeah, yeah.
Eh.
It gets better. Apparently, in that year of 9,999, Revelation convinced Terminatrix that she actually sought to assist her in defeating the Alioth, and provided her with advanced medicine from the point in time to cure Kang of his injuries. However, before Terminatrix could return to the Chronopolis, Alioth attacked, and as the Avengers battled the Alioth, the Terminatrix returned and used the device given to her by Revelation in a successful restored Kang to health. And Kang, Terminatrix, and Revelation then recovered the Avengers as Alioth absorbed the Council of Cross-Time Kangs, killing them all. Equipping the Avengers to protect them from the Beast, Kang also gave them a weapon to destroy it, the Chrono Key. And when they attacked Alioth in the Council members, the Chrono Key transformed into Tempest, a chronal being that absorbed the latent chronal energy from the dead bodies of the Kangs. Holy shoot. And was able to pull Alioth, creating a time barrier preventing Alioth from becoming a threat to the Chronolopolis. Angry at the loss of their lives, the Avengers tried to confront Kang, but he quickly banished them from his realm, and then it appeared that he and Ravonna would finally reconcile the differences. She stabbed him in the back, intending to revive him, so that he would be considered equals in an attempt to deviate herself from the possible future where she would become Revelation. She then assumed her name, Rebecca Tournament? Nope. And traveled to Timely in 1903, reconciling with Kang during his time as Victor Timely. Ravonna was reported as being killed in the destruction of the Chronopolis by Immortus and his forces, though whether she was ever resurfaced once again is unknown. She is just as complex as Kang. Holy shoot. So many different versions of her at once.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, quickly, just so you understand, this version was technically Terminatrix, even though that they're all the same person, just future, different time points in her life. I think this character might be shown more of in the actual Loki, mostly due to the fact that this version of her goes into 1903 as a different version of herself or a different name to help Victor Timely. But we'll have to wait and see if that's actually the same one or if it's just a different version of her. So her abilities are she's skilled in hand-to-hand combat and is able to use technology far in advance of the contemporary Earth technology. Ravonna wore battle armor of unknown kind and utilized futuristic technology, including shape-shifting technology that allowed her to change her appearance at will, interesting, like when she posed as the space pirate Nebula, and technology that allowed her to project herself into the dreams of others. Interesting. And Ravonna has a wide range of weapons, including concussion blasters and vibro knives. I'm assuming they're knives that vibrate. It doesn't specify, but I'm assuming so. So Marvel has this power grid, and it's based out of 7, as I always keep saying. So her intelligence is considered a 3, which is considered learned. So like she learns at a faster pace, but she's not genius level.
Okay.
Her strength is a 4. She's considered to be superhuman. I think that has to do more with her armor, but I'm not 100% sure.
Mm-hmm.
Her speed is a 3, which is considered superhuman, but it's also considered a 7 because it's with warp speed, but that's only because she has the ability to teleport because of the technology that she has. So like her speed on its own is superhuman, but overall, her speed can be instantaneous, mostly due to the fact that she has teleportation abilities. But it's mostly from the tech, not her own biological ability. Her durability is a 6, which is superhuman. Energy projection, she has multiple types, and her fighting skill is a 6 because she is a master of several forms of combat. And overall, I mean, she's not a character that's well known in the sense of like before Loki came out, but she's also a character that in the comics, she was first brought in 1965, and her death was in 1998, and up until when this was last updated, this information, which I think was as of this year, the beginning of this year. I don't have an actual date, but I'm going by this year. She's not been mentioned, or she hasn't been brought back in the comics, which I find very interesting because I feel like she's going to be brought back, especially with her, what's her called? Her popularity in the new series of Loki. So overall, very much looking forward to it, and I think she's... The reason why I brought her up is obviously Loki 2 is coming out, and we've already met her in Season 1, but I think we don't know really what she was in the comics.
We don't know too much about her.
Because in Loki, she was more of somebody from modern day that was brought into the TVA, or how it was presented.
Mm-hmm.
But in the comics, she was actually somebody from the same time frame as Kang.
Yeah, that's interesting.
And they became lovers and haters, and then lovers again, and then she stabbed him. But then it was okay, and then she went back in time to be like, I love you. And he's like, okay. And then she died again. So it's like a weird thing. By him. An older version of him.
True love stands the test of time.
Especially when time doesn't exist around you.
Yep. Just remember, that's what I always say. You're not truly friends, and you don't truly love someone until you try to kill them. So, she truly loves him.
And he truly loves her because he did kill her.
Yep. Multiple times.
Which was the weird part of the whole thing because it's like, if you kill her, how could she be back? But it's like, it's a weird thing of the timeline paradox. Where like, it wasn't, at one point it wasn't considered its own universe. It was considered part of the timeline. I know it sounds weird saying it that way, but like, the main universe leads into the future where Kang is. You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
And that's what it was like in the comics until I don't want to say recently because that's not correct, but things have changed and it's now its own separate universe. It's
Okay.
Yeah, it's a weird. Welcome to the world. Welcome to Marvel. Welcome to the multiverse. It's messed up.
Multiverse is messed up no matter where you go.
Yeah. All right, what's your spotlight?
Multiverse. My character spotlight was a character from that we saw last week in the My Adventures of Superman.
Was it? Who is it?
His name is Monsieur Mala. He is a supervillain in the DC universe. He is a gorilla servant and sometimes partner of Gorilla Grodd and the Brain. He is normally...
Wait, that was supposed to be the Brain?
Yeah. I thought the entire time we're talking about it, you're like, the brain. I'm like, the brain in the robot. I'm like, he's got to know.
You know what? So like the one from Doom Squad in Teen Titans, that Brain?
Yep. Yeah, I think so. Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
The Monsieur and the Brain are typically enemies of Doom Patrol and the Teen Titans. So, origin story. A scientist experimented on a captured gorilla from Gorilla City. He experimented on him and raised his IQ to the genius level of 178, and he names the gorilla Monsieur Mala, and educates him for almost a decade before making him a personal assistant. The scientist's colleague, Niles Calder, grows jealous of his work and arranges for the scientist to get caught in an explosion which destroys the scientist's body. Only the brain survives, and Calder plans on putting his brain in a robot body. Mala rescues the scientist, taking his brain, and transfers it to a computer network that keeps it functioning. He is now known simply as the Brain, and the scientists and Mala gather together the criminal organization known as the Brotherhood of Evil in order to try to get revenge on Calder. Later down the road, the members of Brotherhood of Evil gain members like Madame Rogue, General Immortus, or Gargux. Calder, now known as the Chief, through other accidents that he manipulated, he forms the superhero group known as the Doom Patrol. They set out, the Mala and the Brain set out to destroy the Doom Patrol in order to get back at Calder, and doing this, trying to take out the Doom Patrol to get to Calder, ends up making them enemies also with the Teen Titans. While in the Doom Patrol series, Mala ends up eventually placing the Brain in a robot body, and while in the robot body, the Brain confesses his love to Mala, and Mala tells him that they feel the same. True love conquers all. I'm so glad I looked up at that moment. However, the robot body that the Brain is placed in is actually Robot Man, which is a Doom Patrol hero.
Oh, okay.
The robot body itself gains sentience, and part of his programming, when his body gets taken over, it initiates a self-destruct. So because the Brain became interfaced with the body, it killed itself while the two were embracing each other, telling each other their true love. For reasons unknown, they eventually resurface. No explanation for how they survived the explosion.
DC.
Yep, because DC. The Brotherhood begins raiding genetic research facilities to unlock the secrets of cloning and create a new body for the Brain, so he and Mala can resume their romance. After a short while, once they figure out how to clone a body for the Brain, the body starts decomposing, and eventually Mala takes the Brain out and puts it back into another jar to keep the Brain alive. In another storyline, the Brain and Mala appear amongst other villains on the planet, going to the planet Kygris, and they arrive at the Joker's camp, and while at Joker's camp, General Gorilla Grodd is there, so Mala, as well as the Brain, go up to him, ask him if they work together. He asks him if they could work together to try to take over the planet. Grodd agrees, and they take over the planet, and that becomes another location for Gorillas. That becomes the proud city of Gorilla City.
Interesting.
Eventually, they end up getting into a fight. Mala and Grodd don't see eye to eye. They, what's it called? Like the alpha mentality where they want to constantly fight. So eventually they end up fighting, and Grodd gets the lead. Grodd ends up beating him, and eventually the Brain tries to interfere, pleading for Mala's case to save him, to spare his life. So Grodd then, instead of sparing Mala's life, takes the brains in the jar and smashes Mala repeatedly with the brain and the jar, smashing the jar and eventually beating Mala so much with the brain that he ends up killing the brain completely. And at the same time, eventually, once the brain is dead, Mala realizes what happened, begs Grodd to kill him, and Grodd obliges. And Mala basically says that he's happy that he can die because now he can finally live with the brain, his true love, in peace. And there can be no barriers between them.
I did not realize they were lovers.
You didn't realize that? They literally said in the show, "My love."
No, I know in the show. I'm talking about in the comics.
Oh, yeah.
No. In the show, they very hinted at it. Like, they basically went on and said it.
Yeah.
Wow.
So, Monsieur Mala's ability, he has inhuman strength, durability, speed, agility, reflexes, and intelligence, as well as he has a very keen sense of smell.
So
Most of the time,
is he considered superhuman, or is it equal to a gorilla's strength? Because that's a very... You understand what I'm getting at?
I do understand. I'm assuming that it's going to be he's got gorilla strength but that just is enhanced more, kind of like Grodd.
Fair enough. But you understand what I'm getting at, because like they say superhuman, but like it's not a human. So like, is it just regular strength for a gorilla, or is it, you know what I mean?
I know, I understand what you mean. From what I've seen, it doesn't really specify. It just says inhuman strength.
Okay.
So I would go off of the limb and say like kind of like Grodd, where he's already more.
But he's also stronger than a regular gorilla.
Yeah.
Fair enough. It's like the humans on DC's universe are stronger than any other human.
They're stronger than other humans anyways. But yeah, he like I said, he's got a keen sense of smell, and normally when you see him, he has his signature weapon is a machine gun and other small firearms.
Interesting.
But yeah, I thought that was cool. I wanted my character spotlight. I kind of wanted to do like the Cadmus organization, not the Cadmus organization, the founder of Cadmus. But there was like literally no information on him. There was just like a small paragraph, so I was like, that's not long enough.
I mean, that was the same thing with like I wanted to do Miss Minutes, because I thought that'd be a cool one to do, but then I realized it literally was only what we saw in Loki. Like, it was made just for the MCU. And I was like, well, that kind of ruins it. Because if it was like multiple renditions or something, I could then talk about it, but nope. But yeah, so thank you everyone that has listened for this long. We appreciate it. If you would please, we would really appreciate it if you like and subscribe. We are going to be back at the end of the month. Somebody will have news. But overall, there's going to be a lot going on, especially Ahsoka. That's going to be the big main topic for our next episode.
Definitely.
That's going to be the main one. And we're going to have some, not necessarily games, but some information in each thing. And we're going to be talking about the 2 new episodes of My Adventures with Superman, and we're going to be doing some timeline jumping in Marvel. So hopefully you stick around and see us next week. As always, thank you very much for watching us, and have a great night.